with highs near 95, followed by a chance for showers.
The Rob Carson Show is presented by Chapter, Medicare Guidance Simplified.
You don't need to live with aches and pains. Visit relieffactor.com today.
You are about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
Dead man walking. Dead man. Dead man walking. Dead man walking here. Dead man.
That is actually Thomas Massie going to the polls this morning. Hello and welcome to the show. Please come inside. We have much to get to today. Today will be the official last day of Thomas Massie. Not the last day as a member of Congress, but certainly the first day of the rest of his life outside of Congress. And today is another primary over the weekend. You know, we had Bill Cassidy. He's gone. All these RINO Republicans. It's RINO season. Did you know that? It's RINO season. And we got a white RINO on Saturday. We've got another white RINO day, possibly. We'll see. This is Harry Hinton from CNN with the bad news for RINO Tom Massie.
Get there, man. Look at this. Chance that Massie is, in fact, the Kentucky 4 GOP nominee. It has been falling considerably over the last 10 days, according to the cash prediction market. Look at this. It was 71% 10 days ago. Look where that number is now. It's 44%.
Whoa.
So chances more likely than not, though it is very close, very close, that Massie will, in fact, go down to defeat. But again, we're just going to have to wait and see the votes getting cast and counted because this is quite close. But any time that an incumbent member of Congress goes down, he has done something seriously wrong in the minds of the voters. And in this case, if Massie goes down, it is that he crossed Donald John Trump.
It's not really necessarily crossing Donald John Trump. It's actually voting against the MAGA agenda. This was what we asked Congress to do when we elected Donald Trump. We had some things we wanted done, and if you're in Congress and you are have an endorsement from Donald Trump and you get into Congress and you don't do what the people want, then you get your butt kicked right out of Congress.
When the time came to vote for President Trump's signature border security and immigration enforcement bill, the bill to provide record funding for ICE and
Stephen Miller, of course,
Border Patrol and mass deportation.
He's a national treasure.
Tom Massie voted no. Tom Massie voted to kill the bill. Tom Massie sided with the House and Senate Democrats over the sovereignty of this republic. I personally called Tom Massie and I said, Tom, this is the most important vote of your life and career.
Yeah.
This is the vote to reverse the invasion of America. We need your vote. We need your support. And Tom Massie said we could all pound sand. He voted against Trump. He voted against the American people. He voted against you. He voted to kill the most important bill of his career. That is the real Tom Massie. He sided with the illegals. He sided with the left-wing NGOs. He sided with the refugee industrial complex. And he sided with the radical Democrats and crazy communists instead of siding with you, your family, your children, and your loved ones.
Yeah, 100%. This is brand new from Jim Gossett on the Rob Carson Show.
Hang down your head, Tom Massie. For you, I have some news.
The Prezi.
No longer will you sass me, Massie, you will lose. Massie opposes tax cuts. Israel Massie hates.
Do what the people ask.
With AOC, he's teamed up. He and Omar are mates.
Like John Thune next.
The people of Kentucky, they are fed up with Tom.
John Cornyn, bye-bye next week.
If they are really lucky, his campaign will bomb. Here's hoping Massie loses a big-time defeat he earns.
We will see.
That is because he chooses to fight me at every turn.
Yeah, he kind of went off the deep end, didn't he? There you go. That is brand new from Jim Gossett about Thomas Massie. And this is about doing what the people expect you to do in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump won a massive mandate from MAGA voters, and we are the GOP now. That's all there is to it. The Mitt Romney wing of the party is dead. The Liz Cheney wing of the party is dead. They're all gone. We own it now. If you want to start your own RINO party, go right ahead and start your own RINO party. Nobody's going to go with you. But while you're in Congress, we expect you to do the agenda we expect, and Donald Trump is getting it done, and you're holding it up in a lot of different ways. The SAVE Act being one of those things. We're sick and damn tired of people going into Congress, rhinos going to Congress, and having control of Congress and not getting anything done. We're done with this nonsense. We're done with you voting against the President of the United States, who they tried to, threw everything at him, political indictments, 2 impeachments, tried to kill him 3 times, tried to take him off the ballot. You don't understand. You don't understand. We expect you to do what the people ask, and the people have asked Donald Trump to be the president, and that means you follow the rules, you get the agenda passed, or you go bye-bye. There you go. Rob Finnerty on Newsmax had a delightful piece last night about the follow. You know, there's this. You remember the Curse of the Bambino? When what was it? Babe Ruth was traded from Boston or whatever, and there was a Curse of the Bambino. It's kind of like the Curse of the Mondami with the Mets, you know, kind of. Well, there's the curse of the rhino is going on here, and it is costing a lot of rhinos their jobs in Congress.
I don't think any of them saw this coming, if I'm being honest. 7 Republicans voted to impeach Donald Trump in 2021, 3 weeks after he left.
And what's going to happen to those people?
Office and a month after January 6th, and they tried to blame everything that happened on January 6th on Donald Trump, and this always bothered me.
Yeah.
They tried to blame everything on Donald Trump because that was the easy way out at the time, because they never thought they'd ever have to deal with Donald Trump again.
Yeah, and Donald Trump is the only person who can survive all of the things that I just mentioned, including the political indictments, the getting him off the ballot and trying to kill him.
Blame it on Trump. Move on. We'll be on the right side of history.
Yeah.
Donald Trump.
This is what they thought. Man, wow, were they wrong.
Was an aberration. He never should have been president. That's what they all thought.
Yeah.
Blame it on Trump, impeach him, and then forget about him forever, because he'll never be president again.
But we knew he would be, didn't we? We never doubted it one little bit. Did we? No, we didn't.
That's what they all thought, all of them. 5 years later, well, how'd that work out?
Yeah, not so good.
Mitt Romney retired in disgrace. The 2012 Republican...
He's done. He's finished.
...nominee for president, reduced to a footnote now. Susan Collins... literally about to lose to a guy with a Nazi tattoo in Maine. Ben Sasse, retired. Pat Toomey, retired. Richard Burr, retired. Lisa Murkowski, not on the ballot again until 2028, but her day will come.
Oh, yeah.
And Bill Cassidy, the 2-term senator from Louisiana who voted to convict Donald Trump on impeachment charges. So noble, Bill. He just lost his primary on Saturday to Julia Letlow, the Donald Trump-endorsed candidate in Louisiana.
He came in 3rd place. It's the worst defeat, I believe, in a primary by a Republican, or of a Republican, since like 1962 or something. It's been a very long. It was an epic defeat. He got his rear end booted the hell out of Congress. So he's going to be going back to the private sector. He's a doctor, by the way. Yeah, he's a doctor. So good luck with that. Good luck with resuming your private practice here. We have a prescription for you, and that is leave Congress. Okay. So there's this guy running against Massie in Kentucky. I lived in Kentucky for 5 years. I loved Kentucky. I lived right up near Cincinnati in a lovely little burb called Fort Thomas. If I would have had my druthers, I would have stayed there probably the rest of my life. But radio. There you go. But anyway, Ed Galbraith is running against Thomas Massie right now and appears to be ahead.
To that I say this race is a referendum for sure. It's a referendum to see if coastal elite liberal Democrats can buy a seat in Congress under the guise of a RINO Republican who has served for 14 years. And
the Republican establishment has spent $150 million to beat Ken Paxton in the state of Texas in the primary.
His nickname, Misrepresentative Massie, are term limits, Tom, depending on what county you're here in my district of 21 counties.
You know, when I talk about how the Democrat Party, they die like movie vampires, the same goes for RINO Republicans in Congress. And it looks like their descent is beginning.
He's got a problem for every solution. He continues to be the MVP of the squad. He won that in 2025, hands down. He's the front runner for 20.
Yeah, listen to all the endorsements Massie has.
26. It's a pretty low bar, as we say in Kentucky, when you get the endorsement of the New York Times.
Oh, yeah.
That left-wing liberal congressman from California, Ro Khanna.
Wow.
The Joey Behar and the ladies from The View, and to put a bow on it, that Crockett lady from Texas.
Jasmine.
When you tell folks in Kentucky he's been endorsed by those folks, they are dumbfounded because he's had the top cover of mainstream media for years. He's their darling. Laura, it wouldn't surprise you to know the New York Times came here a few weeks back.
Yep.
They didn't even talk to me. They interviewed him, wined and dined him, and did a lovely article on him because they hate us. One other thing I want to add.
What?
He has shipped in a bunch of out-of-state, no-name, so-called Republican RINO congressmen because not one of the Kentucky congressional delegation will stand near him because he's kryptonite. He can get nothing done for the Commonwealth. You don't see Hal Rogers, Brett Guthrie, Jamie Comer, or, oh, by the way, Andy Barr's endorsed me. Nobody. But he's shipped in some out-of-staters. He is desperate.
Yeah, we will see if Donald Trump continues to bat 1,000. He did with the primaries. Remember the primaries when he was running for president, and I was like, "You're wasting your money. You're wasting your money running a primary against Donald Trump." But they did it anyway, and of course he batted 1,000 through all of them, pretty much, and then went on to become the president of the United States. So that's going on today. We got a lot of other stuff on the show. Everything from space aliens to Donald Trump. All the D.C. water fountains where the people go to gather for the fountains. Like in cities that have fountains, they're all working now. One of them hadn't worked for 10 years, and the Democrat Party is all butthurt about it because every time Donald Trump does something, regardless of whether it's good or not, and 99% of the time it's good, they hate it. So that's all coming up. Here's the number, 800-922-6680. This is the Rob Carson Show. Hey guys, it's Carson. If you are on Medicare or about to be, you could be overpaying right now and never know it. Here's why. Millions of seniors are in a plan that doesn't fit their needs. Because Medicare is complicated, many brokers just steer people into plans that pay them the most. That's absurd. That is so absurd, I decided to write a little slogan for it. Medicare sure ain't fair, and choosing a plan is a bear. Pick a plan with a broker if you dare, and you might end up with a scare. Okay, listen, it's a little rough. You need to know about Chapter. They're the only national advisor that looks at every plan in the country, matches your doctors, your prescriptions, and your situation to a plan that fits your needs. With Chapter, you'll see what a plan actually costs when you need it, not just the $0 some plans advertise. Your doctors are covered and your prescriptions are too. You'll have confidence you have the coverage you need. A call with Chapter is free, takes about 20 minutes. If you're turning 65 or already on Medicare, call 27 Medicare. Again, that's 27 MEDICARE. Call 27 Medicare today.
Management Award winner with ProStatus Financial.
TDS, James Covell has TDS. Will I land in a psych ward? That is anybody's guess. It's for sure, I'm insane. I really can't explain why for Donald Trump I have so much disdain. I'm as crazy as a loon. I'm gonna crack up soon. It's expanding like a big balloon. It's gotten even worse. It's gonna be my curse. TDS, TDS, TDS. TDS, TDS. Is it derangement? I say yes. Whenever Trump is mentioned, I become a giant mess. It causes me such pain, pain I can't contain. Of my existence, He has been a vein like Ellen and Rosie. In our brain he lives rent-free. Driven me as crazy as can be. It's something I can't shake. How much more can I take? TDS, TDS, TDS.
The Rob Carson Show podcast is everywhere. Go to newsmax.com/listen for details.
Coming up very shortly, Katie Tur from MSNBC, or MS Now, right? She did not know that the founders acknowledged God gave us our rights. I'm sure as a journalist, apparently she didn't realize until, she didn't even realize until this weekend that the founders explicitly made it that our rights came from God, so they can't be taken away. But she didn't know that. I know. She's supposed to be a journalist. Wow. Tom Tillis reportedly warning Senate Republicans that moving ahead this week with a major budget reconciliation package could keep Senator John Cornyn in Washington days before his Texas Republican runoff against Attorney General Ken Paxton. So the RINOs on Capitol Hill would rather keep, the spending package from being agreed to, the reconciliation package agreed to, than Cornyn going back and campaigning, because they want Cornyn to win, obviously. And they've spent, listen to this, honestly, wow, $150 million so that Cornyn will stay in the Senate and to prevent Ken Paxton. But Ken Paxton is polling ahead of Cornyn now.
The primary goal is to protect incumbency. Otherwise, why would you spend that much money on John Cornyn? I mean, you spend the money after, when we need it in the general election against the Democrat. Instead, $150 million being spent here against a Republican. Most of the donors, if they knew that, probably wouldn't be very happy. And two, you could have used that money in Georgia. You could have used it in North Carolina. You could have used it in Michigan or Maine, somewhere where it actually make a difference to help us hold on to the map. But the primary goal is not that. Otherwise, their actions would have followed, and they would have held the money for that instead of trying to keep John Cornyn. And look, why don't you just let Texas decide that?
Yeah, why not do that? Why not do that? The Texas primary is May 26th. So we shall see. I'm hoping that Paxton is a guy. I actually know Ken Paxton, by the way. I talk to him every once in a while. Donald Trump is the first builder to be in the White House since Thomas Jefferson. He's a remarkable man. He rebuilt the New York skyline. He's got buildings around the world that he has presided over. A golf course, the most beautiful golf course in the entire world. He's a man of business. He's a developer. He's a TV star. He's the president of the United States, the best president of the United States of my lifetime, if not ever. And here he is outside talking about the water fountains in D.C. I don't know if you knew there's a whole bunch of water fountains in D.C. You drive around them, and they're supposed to have water in them. And you're supposed to, like there's one across from the National Archives that's really pretty. They got one going there, and I went there a couple weeks ago. It's absolutely stunning. And people are really, really loving the fact that these water fountains are working. And here's the president talking about that.
Why do you think people are so mad about your renovations?
Because I'm doing it.
I said, why are you so mad about the renovations, the ballroom and whatnot? And it's because he's doing it.
You got the water flowing again, all of it, and they just seem to hate you for it.
it's a sad thing, actually. You know, and it's very nice. I appreciate it.
I like the sound of construction in the background, don't you?
The question. First I said, oh, this is going to be a negative question. Then I heard she's really saying, why do they hate you for fixing the water fountains? So, you know, we have...
That's the sound of America working there.
We have 40, I know, because I want to see Washington be beautiful. To me, it's very important. But as an example, you mentioned the water fountain. We didn't have one water fountain. I think we have 40. We didn't have one in Washington that worked. And soon they'll all be working. Many of them work right now. And I think one of the best things, President Obama, President Biden spent much more than $100 million on the reflecting lake between the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Monument. Yeah. They spent much more. They spent, some people say, $200 million. You know what they got out of it? A closed lake.
Yeah, it was a cesspool. On the day that it reopened after $35 million in work on the reflecting pool, there was algae blooms in it when Barack Obama was the president. On the day it opened, it was so pathetic. And you know what? Even local media are recognizing that Donald Trump is making our capital. I don't care where you live. Maybe you're in Santa Cruz, California. Maybe you're in Fargo, North Dakota. This is our capital.
I don't think anybody can open up their social media and not see this story of...
listen to this guy. He's a normal white guy, and then he gets a Hispanic name. Just that's not the focus here, but you'll notice it.
The fountain at Malcolm X Park, otherwise known as Meridian Hill Park here in Washington, D.C., is working.
What?
It's been not functioning for nearly a decade.
What?
News 4's Catalina Perez de Armenian is...
See what I told you? I got to hear that again. Hold on a second.
Not functioning for nearly a decade. News 4's Catalina Perez de Armenian is live out there, and the water is flowing behind you, Catalina. I know a lot of people are happy about it.
Joseph, yeah, because it's so hot out here today. But those who came out here tell me that they're just so happy that the fountains have reopened and are flowing, as you can see, because they say they provide a fresh space for both locals and tourists to enjoy areas like this one all over our city, especially.
It's a metaphor for raising the darkness that has fallen across the country because of the Democrat Party.
With the warmer months ahead.
This is the most amount of people I've seen here.
I know.
Ever. It's incredible.
And they're not heroin addicts or homeless people with garbage, with grocery carts full of garbage.
And it's a lot cooler and people just enjoying. And
I know.
This is amazing.
It's great. We love being in the city and having an outdoor space that's safe and clean and open like this is fantastic.
Yeah.
One of the best features of DC.
It's so nice. It's really, really a big improvement over not having the fountains.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that just amazing what happens when you do something? Isn't that just amazing what happens when you do something and you're not an academic with no life experience at all and everything you touch turns to crap? Barack Obama, Joe Biden. It's remarkable. It really is. The city is just looking beautiful. You should come and visit me. I've got a loft. We'll find a space for you. So fuel prices have gone up because of the Iran conflict and all this. It is a commodity. Another limited commodity is gold. You know that. The price, depending on the supply, will go up or down. Right now, it is holding steady in the mid 4,000s per ounce. It went up from 2,600 2 years ago. Now is an ideal time for you to consider moving some of your savings into physical gold. How about that? Birch Gold Group is who I trust because they have my money. Okay? I ain't got a lot of money, so I had to be real careful about what I do with it. And I decided to give it to Birch Gold and just let it ride. Just let it ride. Now through May 29th, Birch Gold giving first-time gold buyers a rebate up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. For details and free information kit on diversifying into gold, text ROB to the number 989898. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. Text my name, Rob, to 989898 to see if you qualify for that first-time gold buyer rebate up to $10,000. Text Rob to 989898. We've got Republican Ralph Norman running for governor in the great state of South Carolina, the fastest growing state inbound migration in the country now. He's going to join us on the other side of the break. Let's take that break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. For 250 years, Americans have believed in one powerful idea, that we were meant to live free to work hard, free to move, free to enjoy life without being held back. But if everyday aches and pains are slowing you down, might be time to declare your independence from pain. I did with Relief Factor. That's how I'm able to crush it at the gym every day. Thank you very much. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free, research-based formula designed to help your body fight inflammation, one of the root causes of pain. It's not a quick fix or a temporary mask. It works from the inside out, at the source. Relief Factor was created so people could get back to living life on their terms, walking, working, exercising, and enjoying the moments that matter. This year, as we celebrate 250 years of American independence, take a stand for your own freedom. Declare your independence from pain. Try Relief Factor today for just $19.95. Your 3-week quick start is ready for you. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF.
Nothing would be finer than to get my way with China. Watch me do it. Here's hoping that our sessions will result in big concessions. Nothing to it. Sheeping doesn't scare me. He can talk quite tough. If he tries to dare me, I will tell him enough. I know he has his eye on taking over Taiwan. Can't let that happen. The chairman has to know, unlike Sleepy Joe, I won't be napping. I will tell the Chinese to stay out of Iran. Xi Jinping, I'm gonna face man to man. Nothing will be finer than to get my way with China and the commies. I am gonna own those commies.
Hey guys, it's Carson for Ghost Bed. I am sleeping better than I've ever slept in my entire life. I used to think a mattress was just furniture, but I got a Ghost Bed. Ghost Bed doesn't build mattresses like furniture. They build engineered sleep systems. Their beds are serious health equipment. Beds designed for relief and recovery, not looks. Your body should be healing while you sleep, not fighting for comfort. I noticed immediately, my first night on a Ghost Bed, I slept for 10 hours. If you're waking up stiff, tossing and turning, sleeping hot, even reaching for a pain reliever before bed, hoping tonight will be different, that's not aging. That's your mattress talking. Here's another thing I love about Ghost Bed. You get 101 nights to try it at home. If you don't like the difference, just send it back risk-free. Ghost Bed is currently having their Memorial Day sale plus an extra 10% off for my audience. Go to ghostbed.com/Carson and use promo code Carson. Ghostbed.com/Carson. Promo code Carson for the sleep of a lifetime.
To shake things up, Ralph Norman is.
He has taken South Carolina values to Washington, D.C. I'm here to support Ralph Norman for governor.
Come on.
I'm running for governor to shake things up. We're going to clean up Columbia. And finally, we're going to take down the corrupt political establishment once and for all.
Norman will clean up Columbia, pass term limits, let South Carolinians vote on judges, so we, the people, have a government that reflects our values.
You know, that's kind of the words of these rhinos being the reason why they're being booted, like Massie could today and Cassidy was on Saturday, because we the people, we expect you to do what we ask you to do when you go out to Washington, D.C., not spend the rest of your lives ruling us. Joining us is the man you just heard right there, Representative Ralph Norman from the great state of South Carolina, who just happens to be running for governor in that glorious state. How are you today, sir?
Boy, doing great. Great to be with you too, Rob.
So, what are you thinking about? You had Cassidy got just keel-hauled, the worst primary defeat of an incumbent Republican, I think, since 1963 or something. And then you've got the possibility of Massie getting the boot in Kentucky. What are your thoughts on this? Obviously, they, at least with Cassidy, voted for Trump's impeachment. That was one of the main things. But I want to hear your thoughts on all this.
You know, I think people all across this country are tired of politicians, particularly on the Republican side, campaigning on less government, less taxes, less regulations, and then going up just forgetting where they came from. They're spending like drunken sailors.
Yep.
Debt has continued to increase. Affordability is nowhere to be seen. And they're taking it out on career politicians. And I think you saw it in Indiana. You'll see it in Louisiana. I would imagine most likely Massie will face the same fate because he's voted no on Trump's policies, which are working. I mean, the policies, we got high gas prices right now, but he's got us going in the right direction. So it's I think it's a reawakening. I think the 250th anniversary, people are sensing a sense of freedom.
Yes.
And that's what they want. They want the politicians to deliver on what they say.
Yeah, there's something happening, and I'd love to know your thoughts on it. I saw on one of your posts on X that the big rededication event in Washington, D.C. on Sunday, I went down for that, and it was something else. It was absolutely something else. And I think that we're seeing a rebirth and a rededication not only to the country as founded, but also to faith in God and maybe even a recognition that the reason why America became so great is because we believe our rights came from God. What are your thoughts on that? Because I think that we're in the middle of a battle of good and evil, and good is making a comeback.
Well, it is, and I spoke in a church Sunday, and I'm speaking next Sunday in a church, and I don't give a political talk.
Yeah.
I just say, look, if Americans don't get involved, we're in a spiritual battle. Mm-hmm. It's good versus evil, and you don't sit on the sidelines. And all across South Carolina, that regardless of the town, however big or small, faith, family, and freedom come to the forefront, and I think they're getting involved at every level, as they're going to have to do to take this country back. Yeah. They're sick and tired of hearing, of the riots and all the left-wing policies that are destroying a perfectly good state in California.
Yeah.
And they're not going, in South Carolina anyway, they're not going to put up with that happening here.
Well, I think that, we don't have to live in darkness. We don't have to live in darkness. I just ran a story, Donald Trump, he's rebuilding the ballroom. All they can do is caterwaul and complain, even though they've been wanting that ballroom for 60, 70 years. They wanted that new ballroom in there. And then all of a sudden, there's like 40 fountains in Washington, D.C. None of them work. There's one actually named after, I think it was Malcolm X or something. Set there 10 years. And I've been out and about in Washington, D.C. I went to DuPont Circle. Used to be nothing but garbage, crack addicts and grocery carts full of garbage. And there are people having picnics there. And I don't understand how this Democrat Party can hate that, making Washington, D.C. that shining city on the hill, or just improving things in general. And I don't think we have to live in this darkness anymore.
Don't have to live in darkness. President Trump has brought prayer back. It would probably surprise your listeners. There are over 5 prayer groups in Congress. at every level that people go to on a regular basis. I'm head of the Conservative Opportunists. We open with prayer, and it's just a rededication that is here. And I think that people now realizing how destructive it is to let the left, which the Democrat Party now represents, the party of the Marxist Socialist Party that wants total government control, and Americans are tired of it, and you're seeing it at the polls, and I think you're going to see it more and more as July 4th comes. We celebrate
Yes, sir.
And, celebrate the greatness of this country, which it is. We're tired of hearing just negative things about how great this country is, and about how President Trump is a great president, and he's doing a great job.
Now I want you to hear a little bit of Hakeem Jeffries, because he said something this weekend that I just thought really set me back, just really ticked me off.
We will beat the far-right extremists. We're going to win in November, and then we're going to crush their souls.
He's going to crush our souls. That, to me, just sounds kind of demonic. What are your thoughts?
Well, think about that. Crush your souls.
What the hell?
Crush your souls. Yeah. Explain that, how he can even make the statement. But he is a total narcissist, one.
Yeah. He's
a total Marxist socialist, second. And I remember when we made changes to SNAP to get the waste, fraud, and abuse, they are part of the waste, fraud, and abuse. That's why the mass immigration illegally that's coming into this country, they want to create a caste system where they're in complete control.
Yes.
They'll reshape the Supreme Court. They'll make Washington D.C. a state. And, people are scared, as they should be. But it's time to take the country back, and I think they're doing it.
Well, you heard Kamala Harris, the no bad ideas should be the no ideas thing. She didn't say anything about a platform for the economy, platform for the border, all this stuff. It was all how we're going to steal elections and rule you. Pack the Supreme Court.
Exactly.
Honestly, this is they have to be defeated.
They have to be, and you look at the damage that Joe Biden did in 4 years. I mean, look how much the price that we're paying, and that just can't happen. And I think their worn out statements of Jim Crow this, of depression, and all that is a joke. And you mentioned the ballroom. The ballroom was paid for predominantly by donors who want to see a safe environment so that a bomber couldn't come in there like they could have at the hotel when you had the president, the vice president, and a lot of the Congress.
Yes.
All that to say is Americans are waking up, and they're not buying that logic. And we've got to defeat the Hakeem Jeffries type.
Yeah.
We got to defeat those who they're on the side of our enemy, and we got to stop it.
So we got Ralph Norman for governor, by the way, on Twitter, running for governor of the state of South Carolina. If you could hold through the break, I got a few. I want to ask your thoughts on the upcoming midterms, the gerrymandering and all of that, how you feel about it, because I feel good. And then also, Texas and Florida just lost their crown as America's rush to South Carolina. Unbelievable. We'll find out exactly why that's all happening with Ralph Norman. Again, Ralph Norman for governor on Twitter. Let's take a break and come back. Or RalphNormanForGovernor.com. This is the Rob Carson Show. Back in a few.
Or biglou.com.
It is the Rob Carson Show, and we are talking to Ralph Norman, running for governor of the state of glorious state of South Carolina, which I just see Texas and Florida just lost their crown as Americans rush to this red state. Fox News reporting the data from the IRS shows Americans continuing to flee high-tax blue states for lower-cost conservative strongholds. The Palmetto State added more than 59,000 new residents from other states between 2022 and 23, equal to just over 1% of the total population and the highest migration rate in the nation. Congratulations, future governor of the state. How do you feel about that?
Well, you know, it shows you how we've got to maintain South Carolina. We're lacking in our infrastructure, bridges, roads. We're lacking in electricity. But people want to be there because of our beaches, because of our natural resources, our parks. We're where California was, 40 years ago, 50 years ago when Ronald Reagan had a conservative government, and it was totally ruined by Gavin Newsom. We got to make sure we maintain the heritage of the state, which we're going to do. And every one person moving out, two people are moving in.
Well, the thing is, I like to say, if you ever seen the movie Independence Day with Will Smith, the Democrats are like the space aliens. They move in, they devour all the resources and ruin the place and move on. So as governor of the state, you're going to do your level best to tell people coming from states like New York to leave their politics at home?
Not only that, Rob, we're not going to welcome companies, nor are they going to get our tax money if they bring woke policies into South Carolina. They have to bring a heritage and a patriotism that I see all over South Carolina. And if they don't, they're not welcome. And we've got such a great opportunity to grow in such a good way. And I think we will under conservative leadership. I'm going to put a DOGE examination on every agency. We're going to major in the major things and stop majoring in the minor. And I'm excited about being the governor.
And do you suppose, and I've seen on your various Twitter feeds that there is a good deal of corruption in a lot of our state capitals. Do you feel like you're gonna find kind of the same things that California and Minnesota have discovered when you get into office?
Absolutely. When you look at what they discovered in Minnesota, I think it was $9 billion. They really don't know.
Oh, no, there's more.
We found $1 billion in 1 year, and we gave away to a company that moved its headquarters to Charlotte by the name of Scout Motors. That's a giveaway. I call that waste, fraud, and abuse. And we're going to stop that. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's well into the teens of billions of dollars that we're going to cut out. And I'm going to show the people in South Carolina where we're cutting, and we're going to cut taxes, and we're going to make affordable at the top of our list because I know how to do it in a business, and Career politicians cannot make business decisions, and that's where I come into play.
You know, I've never seen this kind of outbound migration from left-leaning states in my lifetime. I'm 60 years old. But I mean, it's very obvious that socialism is failing. What do you see as the future of those states, of New York, for instance? I have a feeling California is going to flip. But what's going to happen to those states? Because sooner or later you're going to run out of people with money.
Well, it is, and you're going to have this thing called consequences. If you rob a store and grab, $500 worth of jewelry, you're going to have consequences. You're going to have a situation that Rudy Giuliani took over back in the 70s, where he fixed what was wrong. He made it safe again. If you're not safe, I don't care how good your product is, people aren't going to go there.
Yeah.
So safety comes paramount. Infrastructure is right along with that. And we've got to watch that in South Carolina. We've got to have, judges who are conservative, who put penalties on those who violate our laws. And consequences is one of the other things that people mention to me. Where are we going to see consequences for those who break the law?
Yeah, what about, I'd like to see some consequences for people in office who break the law. I want to see some politicians perp walked. I'd like to see Tim Volz marched out of the governor's mansion and Keith Ellison, indicted, and Ilhan Omar deported and denaturalized back to Somalia. Before we wrap things up, how are you feeling about the midterms? I have felt very good about the midterms. I realize that the party in power generally loses the midterms, but the Democrat Party is offering nothing but darkness. Nothing but darkness, and Donald Trump is doing very well. Plus the terrific decision by the Supreme Court that's getting rid of racial gerrymandering. How are you feeling for the Republican Party going to the midterms?
I actually feel real good because of the results. Donald Trump is not a man who sits back. He gets involved. Again, look at Indiana. Look what happened in Louisiana. Look what probably is going to happen in Kentucky. And he's going all over the state. The man is tireless. He never sleeps.
Yeah, man.
And he wants to put people who love this country. And if you had to have a baseline of what he promotes is candidates that love America and candidates who are willing to put their name on the line, he's encouraging that. Yeah. And I think we're going to keep the majority, and I think we've got a responsibility to do something with it.
I need to get down to South Carolina. I haven't been down there in many years. One of the things that I really loved when I was down there was in the Piggly Wigglies, the fresh peanut butter machine. I know that sounds kind of like nothing, but it was a big deal for me, bro.
Come to Greenville, come to Charleston. The beaches are great. Myrtle Beach. We got great tourist attractions, and you'll love it.
All right, brother. I appreciate you again. It's Ralph Norman for Governor.com. I got everything right there. How else can people help you, sir?
RalphNorman.com and RalphNormanForGovernor.com.
All right, we'll talk soon. Thank you very much for everything. I appreciate it. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. They do. They got Piggly Wigglies with fresh peanut butter machines. So you put the peanuts in and it makes peanut butter for you. I know. I don't have much of a life. You ever been to a Piggly Wiggly in South Carolina? Your listening skills are too top-notch. Oh, really? Do you think so? That's what my wife told me. It's not what she said. Hello, everybody. Let me look over here on Facebook and see who's watching. Hold on. Sometimes my Facebook doesn't load. Whoa, Tony Kennett, what's he talking about? Newsmax 2. Here we are. Hello, Carol Leftwich. Hello, Deport. Hell yeah, Sam Ken Potter, good to see you. How's things? I hope that he becomes the governor. South Carolina is beautiful. When I was there like 13, 14 years ago. It was 105 degrees. It was terrible. But it's a beautiful state. Beautiful, beautiful state. Wouldn't mind living there. What? Westmore ballots. Oh. All right. Hold on. All right, I got to talk here in a second. Hello, Mary Glow. I banned somebody already, some idiot who was there. Massie for president. I'm like, oh, shut up, moron. Massie in 2028. Don't pull that stupid crap here. I can edit and shut off people from the chat if they decide to be idiots. Who's all watching here? Valentina Ardesente, what's going on? All right. All right, I got to talk, guys. Trump calls. What do I got here? Oh, yes. Led Zeppelin, come on. So, a lot of the times you talk to a journalist, and there's a fine line between, I guess, being neutral and being ignorant. And Katie Tur shows her ignorance. I can't believe she would actually ask this question. Over the weekend, they had the big Rededicate event on the National Mall, and people like Mike Johnson talked about our rights coming from God and whatnot. And this is one of the reasons why we became the greatest engine of individual and economic freedom in the history of mankind, is that we recognize that our rights have to come from God, so they can't be taken away. Okay, they are from God. They are given to us by God, and then man can't take them away. But here's Katie Tur, I guess, trying to sound neutral, but ended up sounding ignorant.
What about this passage from Mike Johnson declaring that our rights do not derive from government? They come from you, our Creator, and Heavenly Father. Is this him putting God over the Declaration of Independence? McKay?
Well, I actually think that idea is not wholly uncommon. I mean,
no, everybody freaking knows it, because that's what the country was based on.
The idea that we have certain inalienable rights that come from God.
Thank you very much. You can't be this stupid.
Can be.
Well, no, she works for MS now.
In a fairly benign way, which is basically that we have innate human rights that our Constitution and our government, our democratic government, are meant to codify, right?
Because they exist. They're given to us by God.
That idea is not totally abnormal. I think that the thing...
Of course it's not abnormal. It's perfect. It's what it's made us as great as we are.
That, might alarm some people is some of the rhetoric that we heard at this rally that we are in a spiritual battle. Right?
Yeah, no, we are. That's absolutely true. And you don't have a soul, then you might be worried about it.
That the forces of good and evil are at work here.
Yeah, because evil wants little girls to become little boys and little boys to become little girls.
And that partisan politics is injected directly into the spiritual, biblical...
Yeah, because one party has taken the side of evil. There you go.
Rhetoric. We have heard that for the last couple of years.
A lot of the things that the Democrat Party's doing is evil. Killing 60 million babies since Roe v. Wade is evil.
It's been ratcheted up more and more.
Opening the southern border, trafficking children and women for sex and labor for 4 years, bringing in fentanyl, killing hundreds of thousands of people, creating a virus in a lab in Wuhan, China, and releasing it on the world during an election year and not holding anyone accountable. That's evil.
Especially since Donald Trump lost in 2020. And it can lead to some pretty dangerous places.
No, not really, because we're really benevolent and kind and awesome. And we don't burn down cities like the left did in 2020.
It's not kept in check.
Honestly, it's just you can't be that ignorant. You really can't be that ignorant. But again, it's Katie Tur. It's Katie Tur. So that's what you get. Let me see. Do I have time here? I don't have time. I was going to run a really funny bit from John Kennedy, but I'm going to wait till the other side of the break. On the other side of the break, I talked to you yesterday about how I believe that for 30 years on the radio, I've been talking about sooner or later these faux cries of racism are going to fall on deaf ears, and it's really, really happening now with the Democrat Party. Gutfeld had a really great couple of thoughts on it. Clearly, you must have heard my monologue on it yesterday, but it's falling on deaf ears. The louder the caterwauling, the more dramatic the scenarios painted by Democrats, the more people are going, oh, please. Like, when Ayanna Pressley said Republicans want to put black people back in cotton fields picking cotton, even though commercial farming equipment has been around for over a century. People get it now. It's bullcrap. Knock it off. Let's take a break and come back. Hour number 2 of the Rob Carson Show is right ahead. Don't go anywhere.
The Rob Carson Show is presented by Chapter, Medicare Guidance Simplified.
You don't need to live with aches and pains. Visit relieffactor.com today.
Most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
This is hour number 2 of the Rob Carson Show. Another outrage. Donald Trump, oh my God in heaven, he's building a new ballroom using, private funds, and he's redoing the reflecting pool that Joe Biden and Barack Obama tried to fix, spent $100 million, and it looked like a crap hole. It's filled with goose crap and slime, and Donald Trump's doing it for a pittance. It's going to look amazing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Trump's latest White House renovation. He's paving paradise and putting up a parking lot. A new Marine One helicopter burns up the South Lawn. So the president is going to put a helipad in the backyard. He's going to till up the glorious grass and all of the carbon. It breathes carbon dioxide and exhales oxygen. People are going to die because of this. It's going to be terrible. The helipad will be the latest renovation in a sweeping raft of sweeping changes. Chief among them, 90,000 square foot ballroom, which resulted in the demolition of the crappy, moldy, musty east wing of the White House. Apparently the president's helicopter, the VH-92A Patriot, Lockheed Martin's $200 million Sikorsky aircraft, is burning the grass when they land the thing, especially in hot and dry conditions. People familiar with the plans say that they need a helipad, so Donald Trump is suggesting that they put a helipad instead of landing it on the grass, which would kind of make sense because usually that's where helicopters land, is not on the grass. There are obviously times you're going to land your helicopter on the grass or fields of battle and, all of that stuff. But wouldn't it make more sense to land the thing, considering the amount of heat the thing puts out and it's burning up the grass, to build a helipad to land the helicopter on? I think it'd be a good idea. But everybody should be terribly, terribly outraged because Donald Trump is paving paradise and putting up a parking lot. Coming up, we're going to be talking about Donald Trump coming up with $1.7 billion compensation for people who were persecuted by Joe Biden's DOJ, and there were a lot of them, by the way. Of course, the January the 6th, who weren't insurrectionists, by the way. It was a psyop. They were invited into the Capitol. Many of them spent 4 years in prison without a trial. Many of them denied medical care. At least one denied cancer treatment, then ended up dying when he was released. And they all deserved a whole bunch of money for that bullcrap that Joe Biden pulled. And I could say it now because it's not disinformation and misinformation, like the Democrat Party wanted to, say everything that we believed was. I want to go real quick to a couple calls here. Dave in Delaware. Farmer Dave in Delaware. Farmer Dave in Delaware, how are you on this glorious Tuesday, sir?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing, Mr. Carson?
Couldn't be better, brother.
Hey, I had a quick thought for you, and I don't know if anybody ever thought this through, but the Hakeem Jeffries quote. So he basically says, when we win, then we will crush their souls. So is that not a threat? Because that's after they've already won. It's not like, hey, crush their souls and we will win.
Yeah.
He said, when we win, let's crush their souls. That's basically saying we're going to win, take power, and kill everybody, and basically, or kill their mojo and soul and take them away from God. That's basically a threat, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, that's communistic, man. Crush your soul. We're going to crush your soul. Who wants to crush anyone's soul? I mean, what the hell's wrong with you?
It's ludicrous.
We're gonna beat you, and then we're going to crush your souls. That's just dark. That's just evil. I mean, that stood out to me. I'm like, this is an exact exemplification of what I've been saying about the battle of good and evil, and it is happening. And if you got somebody who is a leader in the Democrat Party saying he is going to crush the souls of people, you're going to have a little come to Jesus, because you're on the wrong side of good and God. Go ahead.
That's exactly what it is, but just the fact that he followed up after we win, that sounds like, hey, we're going to take office and we're going to get rid of all the Republicans. That is basically a treasonous statement.
Well, what they want to do, they want to rule us. Kamala Harris, her big no bad ideas speech the other day wasn't about coming up with new ideas. Wasn't about how we're going to make your life easier, how we're going to seal the border. Wasn't about lowering taxes. Wasn't about making the United States business friendly. It was about making D.C. and Puerto Rico states, packing the Supreme Court, and I can go on and on. It's about ruling people. That's what they want to do. That's why they're evil. That's why they will be defeated. I got to run, Dave. Dave, but thank you for calling. Let's go
I
to...
do have one question for you real quick, Rob,
Yeah.
please.
Yes.
All right, so I've always wondered, I picture it in my head, is Buck blue and gray?
Yeah,
like
Buck,
the old school Bronco.
Buck is it's called Area 51 is the name of the color of my Bronco. And so it's kind of a blue-gray. It is kind of a blue-gray. It's pretty badass, too.
All right, I knew it. Thank you, Rob.
All right, brother. Talk to you soon. Talk to you soon. I love my Bronco. My daughter, she's so funny. She's like, why do you call it? Don't talk to your truck. You know, I'll come out, Buckaroo. Hey, Buckaroo. And I'll pat him, you know. She's like, what is wrong with you? Dude, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with that truck. So there you go. I don't have a wife to spend the rest of my life with, but my truck is my boy right here. Let's go to Mark in Baltimore. Mark, welcome to the Rob Carson Show. What's on your mind, man?
Yes, good afternoon, and shalom. By the way, hope you and your listeners have a meaningful Memorial Day observances coming Monday next week. And also, we want to thank President Trump for the White House proclamation dated May 4th concerning the National Jewish Shabbat 250, which we observed faithfully last weekend, Friday and Saturday. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
The main reason I'm calling is because we have a lot of Republican candidates running, but afraid that some of them may be, you call it rhinos, we call it, during the Reagan era, they were called gypsy moths and all that.
Oh, really?
What I want to know is, the gypsy moths, way back when, 1980.
All right.
We had the boll weevils, which were conservative Democrats,
Oh, yes.
but they don't exist anymore,
No.
unfortunately extinct. So the
No.
thing is, we want to know if the Republican Party is very serious, and I'm serious about it, can we get them, all these candidates or would-be candidates, to sign a pledge, and this would be binding. This is not just optional or just a piece of paper, but did you pledge to support the ideals of the Republican Party? Because I'm afraid that some of them may have a bleeding heart for the other party, the D Party, and so forth. And that's not
generally, Mark, if you're going to get an endorsement from Donald Trump, you're going to have to follow the MAGA agenda. So as far as signing some sort of a pledge like what Newt Gingrich did in 1994, I don't think that's going to be necessary for MAGA candidates who win. They're already going to know exactly what needs to be done. And I'm going to tell you, Mark, I am very optimistic about the midterms. I don't care what anybody says. You can say, oh, yeah, the Democrats are going to win. Really? What the hell? How are they going to win? You got the leader of the minority House leader saying that they're going to crush our souls. You've got Kamala Harris saying they're going to do nothing but pack the Supreme Court and make D.C. and Puerto Rico into states. They have no plan. They're evil people. They've sided with the wrong side of good and God, and they're not going to win in the midterms. So, and also the party is bankrupt. The party is bankrupt. Literally, they don't have any money at all. We've got $1 billion in the bank. So we just have to keep our chins up. We have to overwhelm them with joy, patriotism, and faith, and then beat their asses at the ballot box in November. I got to run, Mark. Thanks for the call, bro. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. So, for a very long time, I've been saying that the Democrat Party had been calling Republicans racist. And sooner or later, it would just become noise after a while. And when you consider, with the SCOTUS decision to undo the racial gerrymandering of America's inner cities, which the Democrat Party has kept people of color in poverty, dependence, poor schools, Planned Parenthood, most probably in that area, on a street named after a civil rights leader, Martin Luther King Boulevard. It's always the same damn thing. Young men, particularly 10 times the average murder rate, et cetera. And this is what the Democrat Party has done. And then they leave you with a pittance of, just enough to keep you going and just enough to say that the Republicans are trying to take it away. And it's failing. And so consequently, since the SCOTUS decision, the Democrats have decided to take it up even further. And this is, like I said the other day, Ayanna Pressley saying one of the dumbest things you could possibly imagine about Republicans, saying that we want to, and this, by the way, is 170 years ago when slaves were picking cotton in the South, all right, in Democrat-run states, that despite the advent of modern farming techniques, that we want to put black people back in the fields picking cotton.
I have to just tell the truth. There are people in this hostile anti-black administration that would rather black Americans pick cotton than pick the president, than pick their congressperson, than pick a senator.
Okay, that is just nothing more than a ridiculous rhetorical flourish And it's nonsensical. Here is Cory Booker again. And now it's just not resonating anymore. It's just not resonating anymore because it's so utterly ridiculous, so utterly flies in the face of common sense and reason that everybody understands it's absolutely ridiculous.
Blacks were prevented from voting for by all kind of means, from terrorism and
by Democrats,
lynching, all the way
by Democrats
to legislators making it difficult for blacks to vote. And now we have a Supreme Court, 6 members who are sending us back to that long, almost.
What has Democrat representation done for those racially gerrymandered districts? They're still hell on earth, and they have been that way for 65 years.
Century where black political leadership and black electoral fairness was not represented in the House of Representatives.
Yeah, I was watching Gutfeld yesterday, and this is essentially what I echoed yesterday. I've echoed it before about how this all is just noise now.
The things that they say are happening aren't happening. It used to work. We used to be paralyzed by the fear of the scarlet letter R for racism, but the race card doesn't work anymore on half the population who sees through it. The other half are just doing it out of habit. But, we disarmed the left because we lost the fear. And so now it's just a gun shooting blanks. You may appeal to the voter who agrees on race, but you already had them. And absent of other tools beyond the race card, you are kind of like a fat, out of shape fighter with no way to win but to call out the refs or just cancel the whole game.
Yes.
The underlying emotion in all of this is that the Dems have exploited fear.
Yes.
And it's not just here. If you think about
climate change, the global ice caps are going to, the seas, the murder hornets and the ozone hole, and oh my God.
How profoundly awful.
Donald Trump is a Nazi, Donald Trump is a fascist, Donald Trump is a white supremacist.
Out of shape fighter with no way to win but to call out the refs or just cancel the whole game. Yep. The underlying emotion in all of this is that the Dems have exploited fear.
Yes.
And it's not just here. If you think about how profoundly awful was trans rights for kids to give perverse men the agency over our children's sexuality. How did that happen? It was like we feared the swarm of activists calling us transphobic. We feared being called bigots if we came out against illegal immigration. We feared punishing criminals because we thought we were going to be called racist. Once you lose the fear, you can finally get back to the normal way things go.
Yeah, we don't have to live in fear and darkness anymore. A little bit more on this on the other side of the break. Let's take that break now. This is the Rob Carson Show. Hey guys, it's Carson. If you are on Medicare or about to be, you could be overpaying right now and never know it. Here's why. Millions of seniors are in a plan that doesn't fit their needs. Because Medicare is complicated, many brokers just steer people into plans that pay them the most. That's absurd. That is so absurd, I decided to write a little slogan for it. Medicare sure ain't fair, and choosing a plan is a bear. Pick a plan with a broker if you dare, and you might end up with a scare. Okay, listen, it's a little rough. You need to know about Chapter. They're the only national advisor that looks at every plan in the country, matches your doctors, your prescriptions, and your situation to a plan that fits your needs. With Chapter, you'll see what a plan actually costs when you need it, not just the $0 some plans advertise. Your doctors are covered and your prescriptions are too. You'll have confidence you have the coverage you need. A call with Chapter is free, takes about 20 minutes. If you're turning 65 or already on Medicare, call 27-MEDICARE. Again, that's 27-MEDICARE. Call 27-MEDICARE today.
Free in libs' heads I'm living, the fits I am giving to Whoopi, Sunny, and Joy. upside their heads. I live, let
Yeah, and that's another thing, the they, them pronouns, telling everybody your pronoun. That was another thing that the Democrats pulled on us. And I said when it was happening in real time that it was going to be utterly laughed at eventually, and we're certainly on the way to that. And I saw a stand-up comedian the other day, and she had a friend, he's like, my pronouns, she's talking to the friend, I decided I'm just going to go back to my regular pronouns. And then the comedian said, oh, no. You made me say they, them for years, and you're sticking with it. You wanted to do that foolishness. You're going to wear that. You're going to wear that like a scarlet letter. That idiocy. And again, it's a matter of good versus evil. It's a matter of common sense versus nonsense. And that was all nonsense. Here is Greg Gutfeld a little bit more on, and this is kind of interesting. And I told you that there is I wrote a piece on Substack, which was about the 12 years, a PSYOP, how they created white supremacy as the biggest threat to America, working with the Southern Poverty Law Center to divide the nation. And here is Greg Gutfeld on that.
The polling on race relations were far more optimistic before Barack Obama was elected.
Yeah, then everything fell apart.
And then it just got worse and worse. And I'm not saying it's on him, but I'm trying to figure out what happened since then.
Oh, I'm absolutely saying it's on him.
Did the KKK return? Was discrimination now decided to be illegal? Was there some kind of attack that happened? No, the only thing that happened was the attack on the idea of the melting pot.
Yeah.
The idea that you're an American first, doesn't matter how you look or what gender you are. They created a toxin that they put in that melting pot. And now, all of a sudden, race relations are worse and people are at each other's throat, but primarily in these little factions in the identity politic world.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And it worked really well. WPHT is a great radio station in Philadelphia. They had a panel the other day, and I shared a little bit of this. These are 4 men of color talking about Donald Trump. Now, a couple of years ago, I said, why wouldn't particularly a young black man, not like Donald Trump? He is a self-made man. He has a private jet. He has gilded buildings with his name on it. He has an absolutely gorgeous wife. He's got a family. He's masculine. All of these things. These are all things that are celebrated in a lot of in culture that just watch it. Watch a hip-hop video sometime. There you go. And they're talking about why so many, particularly young black men, are turning to Donald Trump.
What you think black men are connecting with Trump so strongly?
I think men has this innate thing about them that, you want to be well-respected.
Yeah, and they tried to make it sound like masculinity was toxic. That was another thing the Democrat Party did.
You want to be respected at your job. You want to be respected in your home. And every man wants to be big, strong, and rich. You want to earn that. And you look at President...
Not every man, but a lot of us do. Hell yeah.
Trump, he he exemplifies everything that a man looks at. It's like, I want to be like that. I want to be well respected. When I walk in the room, I want everybody to know my name. You know, you want to feel that.
And is that what you think black men are connecting with Trump so strongly?
We look at President Trump, we say, you know, we want to be like that. That's somebody to look up to, you know, if you're a young man or a man trying to be somebody in life. You want your last name to mean something.
Black people are responding to Donald Trump, and I think you just said that. And is that what black men are feeling right now?
Yeah, this is what the walk away movement was all about. There were 500,000 people of color who left the Democrat Party, and Brenda Straka's walk away movement was documenting it on Facebook. And right around 2020, Mark Zuckerberg and the Democrat Party took the site away, took the movement away, took all of their stories away, took all of them away because the Democrat Party recognized they were losing people of color.
What you think black men are connecting with Trump so strongly?
I think men has this innate.
Actually, I just played that, so I'm not going to play that right now. But here is another an example of this panel on WPHT in Philly.
From my research, Lyndon Baines Johnson said it best. I'll have these N-words on Democrat for the next 200 years, he said something like that. And when you have a party that is promoting everything that this book, the Bible, goes against, at a certain point people are just like, oh, this is crazy.
Yeah, there you go. Byron York was talking about the Democrats. When the Democrats, they always freak out when they lose. The Supreme Court decision about racial gerrymandering is all of a sudden it's Jim Crow and all this. And he reminds us of what happened in Georgia in 2021 and how the Democrats went bananas and said Jim Crow 2.0 all over again.
Well, that's really what they're saying. It sounds like AOC wants to see New York infantry marching on Alabama, and I hope she's the only person who wants to see something like that.
That's in response to the speech this weekend that AOC talked about, the North invading the South.
But this is, as you're saying, the oldest play in the Democrats' book. And when I learned we were going to talk about this tonight, I looked back all the way to 2021. If you remember, Georgia passed an election reform bill.
Yes.
And the entire Democratic Party just went nuts, accusing Georgia of engaging in Jim Crow 2.0. The President of the United States, Joe Biden said that. Stacey Abrams said that. Raphael Warnock said that. Everybody said that. You remember Major League Baseball took the All-Star game out of Atlanta because of it? And then, of course, we had elections in 2022 and 2024 with increased turnout in Georgia. So all of this stuff was not only vicious and poisonous, it was actually wrong, too. So I think now we're seeing a bit more of that in the same vein.
Yeah, absolutely the same thing. And not only are people of color leaving the Democrat Party, but people are moving out of Democrat-run states en masse, like bigger than you could ever imagine, because their policies are failing, I should say. On the other side of the break, we got a little bit more on this. We've also got the fund for those who were persecuted by Joe Biden's DOJ, and the left is all mad about it, but you can't just put people in jail for 4 years without a trial and not expect them to be compensated. That's coming up. Don't go anywhere. So many people living with everyday pain think they're just stuck with it, and it is what it is, but it doesn't have to be. Let me tell you about George from Oregon and his Relief Factor story. George is a hardworking guy, spends 10 hours a day in his garbage truck. It's a tough job, made even harder because he was dealing with sore right knee that he couldn't bend. But here's the amazing part. George started taking Relief Factor, and it changed his life. He said, and I quote, "I can bend my knee again with very little pain." If you're living with aches and pains, see how Relief Factor, a daily drug-free supplement, could help you feel and live better every day. Give their 3-week quick start a try, only $19.95 in a few weeks or even days. Feel the difference Relief Factor can make. You don't have to be stuck living with pain. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. That's ReliefFactor.com or 800-4RELIEF. Hey guys, it's Carson for Ghost Bed. I am sleeping better than I've ever slept in my entire life. I used to think a mattress was just furniture, but I got a Ghost Bed. Ghost Bed doesn't build mattresses like furniture. They build engineered sleep systems. Their beds are serious health equipment. Beds designed for relief and recovery, not looks. Your body should be healing while you sleep, not fighting for comfort. I noticed immediately. My first night on a Ghost Bed, I slept for 10 hours. If you're waking up stiff, tossing and turning, sleeping hot, even reaching for a pain reliever before bed, hoping tonight will be different, that's not aging. That's your mattress talking. Here's another thing I love about Ghost Bed. You get 101 nights to try it at home. If you don't like the difference, just send it back risk-free. Ghost Bed is currently having their Memorial Day sale plus an extra 10% off for my audience. Go to ghostbed.com/Carson and use promo code Carson. Ghostbed.com/Carson. Promo code Carson for the sleep of a lifetime.
Deported. Deported. Deported.
Yeah, Thomas Massie's a terrible congressman. He's been a terrible congressman from day one. Dealing with him is just horrible. I don't think he's a Republican. I think he's actually a Democrat. He's not a libertarian. You know, sometimes they say he's really a Democrat. He votes against us all the time. He voted against the border wall. Yeah. He voted against men playing in women's sports. He voted against transgender for everybody, the mutilization of your children. He voted against, again, open borders. We have the best border we've ever had right now. Nobody's coming in. I mean, a report just came out. In the last 11 months, literally nobody has been allowed into our country illegally. Awesome. We're taking people legally. They go through a process. But nobody's coming to our country.
Man, I just love the sound of construction in the background. It's just so cool. So many cool things here happening in Washington, D.C. And as far as Thomas Massie is concerned, yeah, he's went off the deep end. It's like MTG. Where's MTG? Marjorie Taylor Greene. She gone. She's done. Her career is over. Because there's a new sheriff in town, and we went through 10 years of hell to get here, and the Republican Party is MAGA. That's it. If you don't like it, create another party. It's like the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party is no longer the Democrat Party. It is the Marxist, Maoist, Communist Party. That's what it is. And if you don't like the Democrat Party, then I would suggest you leave it and you create another one, or you force those individuals out of it. Donald Trump was asked about $1.7 billion fund being created to pay back the people whose lives were turned into hell by the Biden DOJ. Political persecution, prosecution. This includes all the January the 6ers, by the way. That was not an attempted insurrection at all. It was nonsense. I found this little montage, by the way, of the ridiculousness of the media overplaying the January the 6th protest against the election of 2020, marching peacefully to the Capitol, having flashbang grenades shot at people, 2 Trump supporters murdered, and people let into the building by people who were undercover.
Certain dates echo throughout history. December 7th, 1941. September 11th, 2001. And January 6th, 2021.
Where were the 350 people who jumped to their deaths from the burning Capitol building?
Similar to Pearl Harbor and 9/11.
Not even. It's an insult to those who died in those 2 incidences.
We can now add January 6th, 2021, to that very short list of dates in American history that will live forever.
You know, it's also interesting. They immediately censored all investigation into January the 6th, like FBI agents in the crowd and whatnot.
So that was the first thing I noticed. There was no effort at all to convince people, actually, electronic voting machines are secure, which they are not. By the way, that's a lie. In any country that has electronic voting machines is by definition at risk of having its elections stolen. By definition. No country that cared about democracy would have electronic voting machines, okay? First thing. But no one even...
And mail-in voting en masse.
And by the way, many Democrats have made that point. Not now.
And election days that go on for months.
But 10 years ago, there was no effort to reassure anybody. They immediately used it as a cudgel to make their political opponent shut up, and in a lot of cases to send them to jail.
Yeah.
So I noticed this, and I'm like, well, wait a second. Nobody here is operating in good faith at all.
No.
They're just immediately lying with maximum aggression. And anyone who asks questions about it, like me, and if you could go back and look at the tape, my first 5 shows on January 6th were like, well, yeah, it's bad, but I don't think you're telling the truth about what actually happened. Shut up!
Yeah. That's what exactly what happened. And I remember the day after January the 6th, and you can't find any footage of this, but I remember like NBC saying there was $100 million worth of damage to the interior of the Capitol. Then you find out, no, they hung out between the velvet ropes. There was very little damage at all. And they didn't do what they said. And a lot of people went to jail for a lot of years. I used to correspond with a guy named Jake Lang. I'm not supposed to say that. But Jake Lang was, at the time, a very young man. He was in prison for 4 years. He was moved around the country like 12 or 14 times. He would call me, and he would say, Rob, hey, man, I just want you to know, it's really, this has happened, and this has happened. I was in solitary confinement for 2 months, and all of this. I don't know how he survived it. And there were a lot of people. They were in solitary confinement for months. And I said forever, I said, we have a bourgeois, we have a proletariat, and we have a Bastille. It's not going to end well for those in power. And guess what? Donald Trump is in power now in our 250th year. Here is Donald Trump talking about the $1.7 billion that we're going to spend to pay back the people who Joe Biden's administration and DOJ went after.
And the negotiation. But this is reimbursing people that were horribly treated. It's anti-weaponization. They've been weaponized.
What about Steve Bannon?
They've been, in some cases, imprisoned.
Peter Navarro.
Wrongly. They paid legal fees that they didn't have. They've gone bankrupt. Their lives have been destroyed.
Yeah.
And they turned out to be right. I mean, it was a terrible period of time in the history of our country, and they worked on it.
Arctic Frost, anybody?
The Justice Department, it's really been working on it very hard. There's been numerous other occasions over the years where things like this have been done, but these were people that were weaponized and really treated brutally by a system that was so corrupt, with corrupt people running.
Like you, Mar-a-Lago was raided with no good reason to do it, no probable cause, and they planted evidence on the scene.
And they're getting reimbursed for their legal fees and the other things that they had to suffer.
Yeah, ridiculous. 4 years in jail with no trial. Are you out of your freaking minds? Are you out of your minds? Enrique Tarrio, anybody? I had a chance to meet him about a year and a half ago at the CPAC that was here in town, and I saw the Jan Sixers there, and it was interesting because I was walking along in the upper deck of the National Harbor, the hotel over here, and I hear the Star Spangled Banner. I hear our national anthem being sang, and it's by a group of men. I'm like, well, that's interesting. What's going on? And I went over to the edge and I looked down and I said, what's going on? And they said, those are the Jan Sixers. Those are the Jan 6ers, many of them in jail for 4 years without a trial. 4 years without a trial. Here's Jamie Raskin, complaining that money is going to go to people who were falsely imprisoned.
If you do the math on this, Chris, the first thing I did was I divided 1.7 billion by 1,600, which is the number of pardoned insurrectionists and rioters.
Probably also the number of fake hospices and leering centers in states like California and Minnesota too.
And you get just over $1 million.
Yeah.
Each one of them could be given $1 million.
You bet.
And then they would have, tens of millions left over for other purposes. But he's basically replenishing the private militia.
It wasn't a militia at all.
That he pardoned from January 6th, just in time for the 2026 election.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, he's going to bring him to the Capitol again and going to do an insurrection that didn't happen. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, it's amazing. Here's Steve. Hey, listen, here's Steve. No. I'm going to play this. Anna Navarro. Making one of the worst, most idiotic comparisons ever between reparations and paying people for being imprisoned falsely without a trial for 4 years. And Scott Jennings has her for lunch.
The idea of reparations to people who suffered slavery. But we're going
to... Nobody's alive who suffered slavery unless you consider those who were enslaved by sex traffickers coming across the southern border led in by Joe Biden.
Be giving money to January 6th insurrectionists. That part's okay. Yeah, it's disgusting.
Scott, is this reparations?
What a stupid comparison.
Look, I think there's a lot about it we don't know. I don't know who's on the committee. I don't know exactly who's going to be applying for it.
The people that Trump approves.
Well, they say anybody can apply for it, and I don't think.
Okay, I'll apply for it. You think I'll get it?
Have you ever been unfairly targeted by the Department of Justice?
I have been unfairly targeted by this administration. Yeah.
No, you've been criticized. You're not unfairly targeted. You weren't persecuted.
Have you been unfairly prosecuted by the Department of Justice?
Are those the people that are going to be in this?
So the answer is no, you haven't. So the issue is, the question is, has anyone in the history of the United States ever been unfairly targeted by the Department of Justice? Of course they have, and there ought to be, just at a top line, a way for people to seek recourse if they have been unfairly targeted.
1,000%. And I don't even think that's enough, to be quite honest, for every January the 6th who was thrown in jail for nothing. Most of them for absolutely nothing. On the other side of the break, Stephen A. Smith. He even agrees that January the 6th was a scam and how the FBI was involved. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show.
The news comes amidst a bombshell report from the Justice Department that revealed the FBI had at least 26 confidential informants on the ground when the Capitol was stormed on January 6, 2021.
Weird.
The report says most of the informants engaged in illegal activity during the chaos.
Oh, why weren't they
The
arrested?
Justice Department says only 3 of its 26 informants present had been instructed to observe potential domestic terrorist suspects on the day of the riot. The rest of the 23 appeared to have gone to the Capitol on their own accord. Upon hearing news of the report, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance posted the following on X, quote, "For those keeping score at home, this was labeled a dangerous conspiracy theory months ago," end quote.
I remember January the 6th, and I was very upset and still am about the election of 2020. But I'm happy now because they rigged that election at their own peril. And now Donald Trump is the president of the United States during the 250th anniversary of our country. And there are a lot of things that are happening that are very serendipitous. I'll just put it this way. Because after suffering, after tribulation, there is enlightenment. And we're experiencing that. And it really backfired on the Democrat Party. It really, really, really backfired on the Democrat Party. Here's Jesse Waters on the revelations. This is a while back that they discovered about January the 6th. And I was going to go. I wish if I could have gone to the protest of the election results with Donald Trump. There were 1 million people there, by the way. They never show pictures of the crowd, but there were 1 million people there in front of the Washington Monument to hear Donald Trump speak when he said march peacefully and patriotically. And of course, they edited it to make it sound like he wanted them to be violent. They went to the Capitol peacefully and patriotically. They were fired upon with flash grenades. They were urged by certain people to go into the Capitol the night before. Ray Epps, anybody? And then, of course, the doors were opened and people were allowed to go in. If I had been there that day and the doors were open at the Capitol, I probably would have gone in. Not to terrorize anything, but because it's the people's capital, to go in and see the people's capital. Because this was not an insurrection. It never was an insurrection. Here's Jesse Waters.
What actually happened on January 6th? The FBI had 26 confidential human sources there that day. 26.
Why?
A confidential human source is a guy the FBI pays to spy for them. Yeah. Of the 26 confidential human sources who were in D.C. on Jan 6th, 4 entered the Capitol during the riot.
You know what this sounds like? This almost sounds like the SPLC paying right-wing groups to create Charlottesville and be in the crowd. Doesn't it kind of sound like that?
An additional...
Kind of like to create some big event that could be used against the Republican Party later infiltrating the crowd with radicals, or in this case, FBI informants.
13 entered the restricted area around the Capitol.
Weird.
So more than a dozen FBI spies.
It almost sounds like it's how they do stuff.
Has participated in the so-called insurrection.
Yeah, here is Chris Wray lying about confidential human sources in front of Congress.
Did you have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters inside the Capitol on January the 6th prior to the doors being open?
Again, I had to be very careful.
It should be a no.
Yeah, it should be.
Can you not tell the American people no? We did not have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol.
Gentleman's time has expired. You should not read anything into my decision not to share info.
They almost sound like those guys, they wear the khakis and the masks on their faces in Charlotte, and then we find out that the Southern Poverty Law Center were paying people to go there from radical KKK and whatnot and stir things. It's kind of like how they do business. Here is Jesse Waters talking about who these confidential human sources are.
A lot of these FBI rats get picked up on some other charge. They get sat down and the FBI says, you're going to work for me now.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're looking at 20 years to life.
Uh-oh.
So these guys say, yes, sir.
You better go bust some windows out and then let some people into the building. Don't worry, you won't get in trouble. But the people who go with you are going to.
And they cozy up to people like the Proud Boys and anyone the feds wants to watch and control from the inside.
Yeah, weird.
And these confidential human sources are under pressure to deliver. What does deliver mean? It means intelligence and big bucks.
Maybe an act of violence in Charlottesville.
That get the FBI good headlines.
Yeah.
According to the Inspector General report, the spies were feeding the FBI intel that said January 6th was going to get a little hairy. But FBI headquarters did nothing about it and then lied to Congress.
Nancy Pelosi, she denied the National Guard coming in. Donald Trump offered the National Guard.
Congress and said they did.
Weird.
So why did headquarters let January 6th get so out of hand? And what were all these FBI spies doing that day the days before?
It's because it was a psyop against the Republican Party.
Where do you think this idea comes from, that this was somehow done by the feds?
I heard that one of the debaters said it was an inside job. It was an inside job on the part of Donald Trump.
No, it wasn't.
And his henchmen.
Republicans have blamed the FBI and said it was an inside job.
It certainly was not an inside job by FBI agents or Antifa. They go around blaming it on Antifa and FBI agents.
Well, how did the media know it wasn't an inside job when the FBI had 26 of their people on the inside?
Yeah.
January 6th certainly benefited the media, the FBI and the Democrats.
Yeah.
1,500 arrests, humiliated Trump, got him impeached, criminalized the MAGA movement.
It did, yeah.
Trump got indicted over January 6th, remember?
Yeah.
They tried to throw him in prison over this. The January 6th committee, it's all Democrats did for 2 years. Why didn't the committee find any of these snitches? They did a one-sided investigation and teed up Garland to charge Trump so they could run against a convicted felon.
This is why Donald Trump has come up with a fund of $1.7 million to pay back the prisoners in our Bastille. And I'm glad. I would just like to see the people who put them there replace them in those cells, as I've been saying for at least 6 years. Let's take a break and come back. This is The Rob Carson Show.
Recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required.
That
215-215 for your complimentary.
Says
I got a little distracted. I'm easily doing that. Sorry, guys. I apologize. I got a little busy. I see somebody who were talking about Victor Davis Hanson a little while ago. I watch a lot of Victor Davis Hanson on YouTube at night. I don't really watch Netflix by myself. I'll just watch news, a little bit of YouTube before I go to bed. And I read, I see Stephen Turley and VDH. And I enjoy his ruminations on things. He's wonderful. Liz Cheney, mastermind. Yeah, isn't that amazing? She's been very quiet. They destroyed a lot of evidence, the January 6th committee, and they also made sure that only people who voted for the impeachment of Donald Trump were allowed on the January 6th committee. No conservatives, no Trump supporters. It was all a giant scam. It was all a giant scam. All righty. Yeah, it was. I'm not afraid to see it either. Oh, I got to talk. Sorry, guys. Didn't mean to short you.
You know the biggest crowd I've ever seen? January 6th. They were there largely to protest a corrupt and rigged and stolen election.
Democrats can say there needs to be unrest in the streets, but they're going to impeach the president for saying
peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
Whenever they take a clip from President Trump, they always leave out that ending clip of let's march peacefully and patriotically to the Capitol.
Just the key point that yes, there was a pro-Trump rally at which the president spoke, and we can absolutely talk about all the things the president said there. But the idea that that rally is the thing that got out of hand and that somehow resulted in the breaching of the Capitol, that rally was very far from the Capitol. Yep. And the people who, as you say, did the initial breach that allowed everybody else to come in, they never even went to that rally.
There you go. Yeah. They did. They went with grappling hooks and flak helmets and went to the Capitol and busted out windows, and that's what they did. This is Kash Patel talking about these confidential human sources who are paid by the FBI to go in and actually commit crimes to get other people entrapped.
As a former federal prosecutor and a public defender who defended a lot of these types of cases, what you need to show is whether or not the FBI and government agents were using undercover operatives and informants on the day of January 6th. Once you prove that, then you defeat the insurrection narrative with the FBI's own documentation.
And what does this report do to the January 6th defendants? None of the confidential informants were arrested or charged. These guys were right alongside everyone, walking into the Capitol.
Yeah.
But you're in prison for years? Now, if you're a defense attorney for a Jan 6er and this drops after the case was decided.
This is why the $1.7 million for people who were persecuted by the government.
Are you allowed to commit crimes as a spy for the FBI and not get charged?
Yeah.
Because they said this was the greatest attack on democracy ever. So it was up there with 9/11.
Yeah.
Traitors, they said, seditionists. They're off scot-free. You can try to overthrow the government if you're an FBI rat and just walk away. Congress has to find out. And what does this mean for pardons? I mean, the Hunter Biden pardon already greased the runway for Trump, but...
Yeah, it got him pardoned, and now they need payback for 4 years in prison without a trial. And then Donald Trump did the right thing and pardoned him. So, wah, if you got a problem with the settlement. A lot of people have been targeted by the Joe Biden's government, Barack Obama's government, have gone to jail, and this should never ever happen again. If the Democrats don't like it, then they can stick it. There you go. Coming up, mail-in ballot fraud in the state of Maryland, and they are going to replace all of the mail-in ballots that erroneously went out. Also, Jesse Waters getting a lot of press over having an expert on who says that we've been visited by 4 different kinds of space aliens. Yeah, we'll get to that next hour. Don't go anywhere.
The Rob Carson Show is presented by Chapter, Medicare Guidance Simplified.
You don't need to live with aches and pains. Visit ReliefFactor.com today.
Now.
You are about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
This is the Rob Carson Show, hour number 3 of the Rob Carson Show. By the way, Donald Trump has endorsed Ken Paxton for Senate, and I think it's great. There's a reason why the establishment is sending $150 million to keep John Cornyn on Capitol Hill. And so I think it's kind of sealed his fate, to be quite honest, Cornyn's fate, with Donald Trump giving the endorsement. Of course, he's also, rejecting Thomas Massie in Kentucky. That race going on today, and it looks like Massie has a really good chance of losing because he went nuts. He went bananas. He went absolutely bananas off the reservation, voted against the border, voted against, border security. I could think of a dozen other things that he did not play along with. He sided on the wrong side with the Democrat Party, and you go bye-bye. When that happens, you go bye-bye. There's no room for that nonsense. There's no room for betting down with those who have caused so much destruction to the country and expecting to keep your seat in Congress when we, the people, voted Donald Trump in there to do what we asked him to do. And he's doing it, by the way. Trump DOJ going to launch an investigation into Maryland after 500,000 mail-in ballots were sent out in error. Yeah, 500,000 ballots were sent out in error. 500,000 ballots don't get sent out unless dozens of people sign off on it. Give me a freaking break. An error is misspelling someone's name on your Starbucks cup, okay? An error isn't sending out 500,000, 500,000 ballots to the wrong people. President Trump asked the Justice Department to investigate Maryland. 500,000 new ballots are going to be sending out after a vendor made an error in sending out the first batch of ballots for the state's gubernatorial primary election. Here is the president talking. And by the way, Maryland is bloody, stinking corrupt. Maryland is a hellhole thanks to the Democrat General Asylum. People are fleeing Maryland. It's the number 6 state for people leaving the states, the left that are run by the left in this country. And Maryland could be absolutely the one place to live. I lived there for 12 years. For 12 years, I lived in Maryland. And as soon as I moved in there, I wish I would have moved to Virginia because I saw what a crap hole, what an overregulated crap hole that the Democrat Party was making in Maryland. Where I used to live, Germantown, Maryland, Montgomery County, infested with MS-13 gangs now. My old neighborhood, I drove by there. There's a homeless encampment in the woods behind my home, and there's needles everywhere and tents that have been left there and old mattresses laying there. The mall went out of business 12 years ago, and it's still sitting there empty and covered with graffiti. This on prime real estate, where my kids went to elementary school. It looks like Tijuana. There are people selling fruit out of unlicensed vehicles on the streets right by my kids' school. My kids left Washington, this area, more than 10 years ago. We moved to Kansas. We were told that, Maryland schools are the best in the country. We spend this much money on schools. I get there. My daughter is doing math and reading at 3rd grade level and 5th grade. And I said, why is this? And they said, because your schools are impacted there. What does that mean? It means that half the students there speak English as a second language, and they have to slow everything down for the rest of the kids. Yeah, that's why I didn't move back to Maryland. Here is Donald Trump.
To me, maybe the worst of all is the mail-in ballots where they come in. So, as you know, in Maryland, 500,000 fake ballots were sent out. When they were caught, they said, we'll pull them back.
Oops.
And they issued 500,000 new ballots. And as you know, they never got the original ballots back. So there are 1 million ballots out there.
Yeah.
Many of them went to Democrats, and it's a very serious thing. And I'll tell you, I've looked at Maryland for a long time, and I know Maryland pretty well. And I was told that it's automatically a Democrat state. And I don't believe that because I think I did really well there, and I don't believe it. But they issued, as you just got caught recently, 500,000 ballots, illegal ballots were sent out, and they were totally fraudulent. And then
isn't it amazing how this happens in Democrat-run states exclusively?
They said, we'll pull them back. Well, they didn't pull them back, and they have 500,000 new ballots go. So what happens to the original? Are they going to come in, and are they going to come in and infect our system? So it's a very, very serious thing that's happened. And
here is a report from a local Fox affiliate on the ballot scandal.
In ballot error is a crisis and is destroying election integrity.
We need to know, how will the Board of Elections know if people return 2 ballots by accident?
It has all kinds of potential ramifications. You know, the Board of Elections may effectively suppress people's votes. Some may return those incorrect ballots, and they may not be counted.
On Friday, the Maryland Board of Elections announced some voters received the wrong party ballot for the gubernatorial primary election. The board pointing to the mail-in ballot vendor. The board says more than 500,000 voters have requested mail-in ballots, and
which is utterly ridiculous.
To correct the mistake, all ballots will be resent regardless of whether the one you received is correct. The Maryland Freedom Caucus is calling on the Secretary of the Election Board to immediately release Maryland's voter rolls to the federal government so a proper audit can be conducted.
Yeah, get all the dead people off there, get all the illegals off there.
Saying the citizens have a right to know the exact process.
I have no doubt that as a citizen in Maryland, I had my vote stolen from me a number of times. Because Maryland is not as Democrat as you think. You don't think of Maryland like Maryland's an agrarian state. You've got the shore, so they do a lot of fishing and crabbing out there, but they also have a lot of agriculture here. And it's these stinking Democrat-run hellhole population centers that screw it up for everybody else. And this is why we have the Electoral College nationally, you see. Because unfortunately in states like New York and Maryland, and I can go on, they're run by these Democrat crime-ridden hellholes, and the people out in the hinterlands who do the heavy lifting in the state, they're the ones who suffer.
By which ballots will be scrutinized?
I would encourage the State Board of Elections to finally cooperate with the Department of Justice so we can get this sorted out, so we can fully understand who's on our rolls, who got one of these erroneous ballots, and what we can do to correct it. But we can't correct the problem if we don't have a good sense of who's on the rolls and who got.
And all the Democrats have to do is say that there's no such thing as election fraud. And I mean, honestly, it's laughable for them to say that. It's absolutely, utterly ridiculous to say, oh, no, there's no election fraud out there. In California, they don't investigate instances of election fraud. So they can commit as much election fraud as they want, because there's no investigation of election fraud in California. And I would bet you that Gavin Newsom was recalled a couple years ago, but I think they rigged that one. That's my opinion, you see. I can say that. And the reason why I say that is because I'm not stupid, you know. RNC Chair Joe Gruters announces 130 lawsuits filed across 32 states to stop Democrat election shenanigans as President Trump deploys an army of election lawyers to stop any stealing.
Well, listen, the president, when he asked me to take this position, he said we got to make sure our elections are safe and secure. We have to continue to build on this.
Yeah, so everybody's vote counts. Yeah, that's what it is, you know. And so if you want to caterwaul and scream and act like we're rigging the elections, no, the rigging happened with Democrats.
Success that Laura Trump and Michael Wiley built in the 2024 cycle. And yes, the Democrats are trying to cheat every single day.
Yeah, they are.
That's why we have to have 130 lawsuits. We're bringing the hammer wherever we can. 32 states where we have lawsuits because the Democrats are trying to cheat every single day. It doesn't matter if it's redistricting. It doesn't matter if what they've done is they've allowed tens of millions of illegals to come across our border, and they're trying to figure out ways to get them to vote, and that's why
load them up with that's free stuff, man. Give them all sorts of generous welfare benefits, put them up in fancy hotels.
We're always after
give them social security numbers. Yeah, you see where I'm going?
Ensure we have integrity in the system, that we can have confidence in the democracy, and we're putting people in place. We already hired staff in 17 states, but we're going to continue our strong litigation effort to make sure and
you know why I believe that there's election fraud in the state of Maryland is because nobody would want to stay in a state that is so bleeped right now. Energy costs through the ceiling. Everything costs more. Overregulation, car tags, everything costs so much. You can't retire here.
Yeah, as you mentioned before, there is a massive exodus going out of a lot of blue states.
Yeah, this is Byron York, by the way. This is why they're bringing in all the illegals.
Right now. And by the way, when that massive exodus happens, the states where they go to, the red states, get more electoral votes.
Yeah.
and the blue states get fewer electoral votes. You can see
this is why Democrats have to steal elections.
The panic in a lot of Democrats' voices over this, because it is going to involve a major transfer of political power that's taking place right now from their blue states to these red states they're now condemning.
Yeah, and again, Maryland is the 6th highest outbound population in the United States because they've made it into a hellhole. Thanks, Democrats.
Westmore's people mailed them. The voters, they had failed them.
Jim Gossett.
500,000 ballots, a mistake, they swore.
Yeah.
But we know that they're lying. There is no denying. Blame, 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 blame it all on Westmore. The wrong party was listed. The governor insisted it was done in error, but we can't ignore.
Oops.
They cheat every chance they get. Intentional, you can bet. Blame, 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 blame it all on Westmore. Donald Trump has ordered that the DOJ investigate this mail-in ballot scheme. Westmore scheme, fake ballots are out there. Election will not be fair. Blame, 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 blame it all on Westmore.
Yeah, people are leaving Maryland because the Maryland General Asylum has made life unlivable and too expensive to live here. And places like Baltimore, you got the second worst schools in America. They've made Glorious City, waterfront down there, the Inner Harbor into hell on earth. That's what they do. That's what they do. And it wouldn't surprise me that they mailed out 500,000 ballots because they're trying to make up for all of the people who are leaving, and they want to keep Democrats in power. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. Hey guys, it's Carson. You know my signature phrase, don't catch the stupid. When it comes to Medicare, that's easier said than done. Medicare is overly complex with thousands of plans, hidden gotchas in the fine print, and rules nobody really explains to you. Many people just pick something and hope for the best. That's why you need to know about Chapter. They're the only advisor that looks at every plan in the country, matches your doctors, your prescriptions, and your situation to a plan that fits your needs. When your call with Chapter is done, you know your doctors are covered. Your prescriptions are matched, and you go from, I hope I did this right, to, I know I did. That, my friends, is peace of mind. A call with Chapter is free for my audience, and there's no pressure to sign up. Call Chapter today. Here's the number, 27 Medicare. That's 27 MEDICARE. 27 Medicare for Chapter. No pressure. What's your excuse? Call 27 Medicare and don't catch the stupid yourself. Call 27 Medicare today.
King's Rally Day, saw it and said, what a bunch of losers. Most of them are unemployed, drug addicts, and also boozers. These protesters are so crazy. Not to mention they are very lazy. No King's Rally Day, deadbeats with a criminal history. The fact that they don't have a job is really not much of a mystery. 7 million, there's no way. Crowd size exaggerated. Most of them were elderly and heavily medicated.
WCBM, Baltimore's news talk station.
Got your new bump?
Dig it.
There is no more incredible man on this earth.
Woo! Found this the other day. A new version of I'm a Man by Spencer Davis. And I have been listening to it. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. Let me see who it is. Hold on one second. I got to tell you who it is. Because if you got the Spotify or whatever, I have Spotify. Let me find it real quick here. I'm a man. It's a, hold on, I'm a man. It is just a great version of the song. I'm a Man. It is by Smooth. I don't know if it could be AI, all I know, but it's Smoove, Smooth. I'm a Man. Oh my God, it's just good. It's just good. Anyway, welcome back to the show. Please come inside. Spencer Pratt's running for mayor of L.A. I hope he wins. He says if he doesn't, he's going to move because there's no future there. If one of these Democrats is reelected in L.A., L.A. will continue its death spiral into hell. If Steve Hilton does not win the governorship of the state of California, it will continue its death spiral into hell.
If Karen Bass gets reelected or Nithya gets elected, I will be done with trying to live in LA, and I'll go find somewhere that my kids will not have to see naked zombies, and I can have the last American dream somewhere. But I will not rebuild if these people are in charge, because what would I be putting money into?
Yeah, they're going into another fire season, and the reservoirs that were empty last year are still empty this year. Here is Spencer Pratt with Adam Carolla looking at the reservoir.
The reservoir's empty right now. I was literally just up on the hill, and we're just flying the drone over the reservoir, and it's bone dry.
Here's the best part. You can go up my street. This is the reservoir that they also drained when they were fixing the other one. They said, let's drain this one. So there's actually two reservoirs that were drained, the Palisades Reservoir and the Santa Ynez.
Yeah, Insanity is doing the same thing again and again, expecting a different result. Here's Fareed Zakaria of CNN talking about the truth. Now, I had told you that, we are so ideologically opposed to one another, the left, and I'm not talking about, run-of-the-mill Democrats, but the left, Marxists, Maoists, communists like Karen Bass, and, traditional, foundational principled conservatism, that there would have to be some sort of a division of the country, and if it came down to say for instance civil war, or if some of these states decided to secede, I said that within a year these states that are run by Democrats, they would be streaming over the borders to get into the conservative America, and that's happening. That's already happening. We didn't have to do a thing about it. They are fleeing these states, and the further left they go, the emptier they become. It's a lose-lose proposition. It's not going to get better. Fareed Zakaria.
New York is really a prime example of a problem Democrats seem unwilling to confront. Blue cities are out of control.
Yeah.
Promising more, spending more, delivering less, and pushing off the fiscal problems to some future day. Take Los Angeles, another one-party metropolis wrestling with affordability and disorder. The city's homelessness budget for fiscal year 2025-26 totals about $950 million. The LA Homelessness Services Authority reported that in 2023, homelessness was up 9% countywide and 10% in the city. And a 2024 AP account noted that homelessness has surged 70% countywide since 2015.
Yeah, the same thing happened with the former Soviet Union that collapsed under its own weight and corruption. Seattle Democrat lawmaker says he's gravely concerned about city's woke new mayor just weeks after welcoming her election. Seattle's brand new progressive mayor already facing panic inside her own party after a fellow Democrat admitted he is now gravely concerned about the future of the city. Katie Wilson, a self-described Democrat socialist mayor, mocked fears that wealthy residents and major employers could flee Washington state over rising taxes and hostile rhetoric toward big business. And here's actually what she said to those people. Of course, Zoran Mandami did the same thing with Ken Griffin, a billionaire in New York City. And he decided, you know what, I'm just going to take my company and we're going to go to Florida.
Wilson is also sending a pretty clear message to the wealthy. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
I think the claims that millionaires are going to leave our state are like super overblown. And if, you know, the ones that
it's an adult woman there, mayor of a city, are like super overblown.
Leave, like, bye.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Take your money. How are you going to pay for your moist dream of free grocery stores and free buses and all that crap? I am gravely concerned, Seattle City Councilman Rob Saka told the New York Times that as anxiety mounted over the city's trajectory and perception, Seattle is becoming openly hostile to wealth creators. This is real, he caused. The warning landed with particular force because Saka had enthusiastically welcomed Wilson's victory only months earlier after she defeated incumbent Mayor Bruce Harrell. And Seattle is plummeting into the abyss. They are plummeting into the abyss. Less than 5 months into Wilson's tenure, the mood in Seattle's business and political circles has darkened dramatically. At the center of the turmoil is hometown coffee giant Starbucks. They are moving their headquarters to Nashville, by the way, And if I were you, I would leave too. I would absolutely leave. Thought about this in the state of Virginia, moving here, and then I saw how we defeated, because the left tried to gerrymander all Republican representation, and it was defeated by the courts, and consequently, we will see. The governor here, Abigail Schamberger, is a lame duck. Socialist New York City Mayor Mondami previewing his plans for opening city-run grocery stores. We're bringing cheaper groceries to all 5 boroughs in this city-owned grocery store, starting with the Bronx. Here's the problem. It's going to be 3 years before one of them opens. Somebody commented on online, nobody will be hungry in the city. Just 3 more years and you can eat. Have some crackers in the meantime. Mondami announced the new La Marquetta store, which will be built from the ground up, will cost $30 million. He also revealed that for city-run grocers will have a core basket of goods at a fixed price. That's Soviet. You get your little rice, you get your beans, you get your eggs. That's what this is. This is ladder, rinse, repeat, former Soviet Union nonsense. They're going to brick and mortar build a grocery store rather than leasing a space, which would make more sense, and then they're going to lose money on it until they go out of business. That's what's going to happen. And the selection is going to be terrible. The prices you may think are good, but they're going to be crap. The produce is going to be crap, and people would rather go to Aldi. There you go. That's what's going to happen. It's happening all over the country. Gordon Chang joins us next to talk about Trump's visit to China. Don't go anywhere. So many people living with everyday pain think they're just stuck with it, and it is what it is, but it doesn't have to be. Let me tell you about George from Oregon and his Relief Factor story. George is a hardworking guy, spends 10 hours a day in his garbage truck. It's a tough job, made even harder because he was dealing with sore right knee that he couldn't bend. But here's the amazing part. George started taking Relief Factor, and it changed his life. He said, and I quote, "I can bend my knee again with very little pain." If you're living with aches and pains, see how Relief Factor, a daily drug-free supplement, could help you feel and live better every day. Give their 3-week quick start a try, only $19.95 in a few weeks or even days. Feel the difference Relief Factor can make. You don't have to be stuck living with pain. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. That's ReliefFactor.com or 800-4RELIEF.
Deported. 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 Get them out. Ready? Are you ready? Get them out of here. Get them out of here. Get the hell out of here.
Hey guys, it's Carson for Ghost Bed. I am sleeping better than I've ever slept in my entire life. I used to think a mattress was just furniture, but I got a Ghost Bed. Ghost Bed doesn't build mattresses like furniture. They build engineered sleep systems. Their beds are serious health equipment. Beds designed for relief and recovery, not looks. Your body should be healing while you sleep, not fighting for comfort. I noticed immediately. My first night on a Ghost Bed, I slept for 10 hours. If you're waking up stiff, tossing and turning, sleeping hot, even reaching for a pain reliever before bed, hoping tonight will be different, that's not aging. That's your mattress talking. Here's another thing I love about Ghost Bed. You get 101 nights to try it at home. If you don't like the difference, just send it back risk-free. Ghost Bed is currently having their Memorial Day sale plus an extra 10% off for my audience. Go to ghostbed.com/Carson and use promo code Carson. Ghostbed.com/Carson. Promo code Carson for the sleep of a lifetime. It is the Rob Carson Show, one of my favorite guests of all time. Gordon Chang, a China relations expert. He's author of several books, The Coming Collapse of China, Plan Red, China's Project to Destroy America. I can go on, and we've been dying to get him on, and I know he was in high demand last week with Trump's visit to China. Welcome to the show, Gordon Chang. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm fine, Rob, and thank you so much.
Absolutely. Okay, I want to ask you this question. Is China in a stronger or weaker position since Donald Trump's visit to China last week?
I would love to know the answer to that question. Most China-U.S. summits they're scripted, and they're completely decided before they start. Yeah. This one wasn't. So President Trump goes into hostile territory and talks about major issues. We won't know the results of this for weeks or months. And I think historians will actually look at this meeting decades from now and will be arguing and trying to assess it. There are a lot of good things that came out of this meeting, and there's some pretty bad things that came out of this meeting. Okay. On balance, I think it was great for the United States. but we'll just have to see. I mean, the good things are the trade. The Chinese apparently agreed to a lot of stuff. The optics weren't very good for the U.S. We'll just have to see.
Really? I saw you posted the headline, China has is going to be buying 3 Bs, beef, beans, and Boeings. Selling a lot of aircraft to China. That's a pretty big deal.
It is a very big deal, and it is in some ways the most important outcome of the summit. That's 200 Boeings, maybe more, and that's great. Even more important politically, though, the beef and the beans, because we're talking about a lot of farm votes here.
Soybeans.
And we're also talking about a farm sector that has really had a very difficult time for a lot of reasons, some related to the war, some not.
Yeah.
So this was important to stabilize the relationship. The Chinese apparently agreed to buy an additional, to buy at least $17 billion worth of ag for this year and 27 and 28.
Mm-hmm. I know that there were some, and they were very kind of guarded as to the verbiage that Ping used with regard to Taiwan. But basically, Ping said, back off. We'll make our own decision about Taiwan. What exactly is going on there? I know Donald Trump's talking about giving them more military aid. That's a real sore spot with Xi Jinping. Tell me about that dynamic.
Well, Xi Jinping on Thursday issued some pretty aggressive words on Taiwan. Secretary of State Rubio afterwards said, in the business meeting, they raised Taiwan for a couple minutes. We listened to them, and then we all decided to move on. In other words, there was no change in U.S. policy, as Rubio said. President Trump on Air Force One, he mentioned some comments on Taiwan that have really rattled Taiwan and our allies. The issue is going to be, though, ultimately decided. If the United States goes forward with the $14 billion arms sale, this will be great. If not, I think the world will think that China dominates the United States and that we're afraid of them.
Yeah.
So this is really, really important. And by the way, China is in no shape to invade the main island of Taiwan. So this is the perfect time for us to go forward with those arms sales. President Trump on Air Force One said he'll make the decision, so we're going to wait. And I think that a large part of the legacy of this trip will depend on whether he goes forward or not.
Now, I know that Donald Trump likes to say he likes to say he has a velvet glove over an iron fist. And he, obviously talked about his friendship with Xi and whatnot. I would say it's less about friendship, more about respect. I saw how Donald Trump was treated getting off Air Force One versus Barack Obama coming out of the rear end of the plane and Joe Biden. Those guys had already been bought and paid for pretty much by the Chinese Communist Party and were treated very poorly because of it. What did his welcome convey to the world versus his predecessors?
Well, the welcome ceremony was good at the plane. Also, the welcome ceremony before the substantive meeting on Thursday was good. Xi Jinping at Thursday evening in front of the cameras and in front of President Trump insulted our president and insulted the United States. And then, of course, on Friday at Zhongnan High, the leadership compound, the chair that was given to President Trump was considerably shorter, lower than the one that Xi Jinping had.
I saw that.
So that was, again, another insult to the U.S. The thing that's important is that Thursday night, Xi Jinping talked about New Era and Thucydides' Trap. Those are code words for a world where the U.S. is no longer a power.
Okay.
Basically, the U.S. is finished. And Xi Jinping was incredibly aggressive. President Trump was confident. He did not respond. And I think that shows the confidence of the United States because we're a far more powerful society than China. But nonetheless, I hope that President Trump, in one way or another, gets back at Xi Jinping because these insults were unforgivable.
Well, and you know what? It's bullcrap. And you had predicted this. You had predicted this, I think, a few weeks ago when I talked to you, that this sort of crap was going to happen, and we had to run the risk of them doing this bullcrap on their... He would never try that crap in Washington, D.C.
Yes, and I just hope, and President Trump came into this with a strong hand. And the Chinese just acted with such a petty way. And that is, That's really unfortunate. And that is, Thursday night I was mad.
Yeah.
Friday I looked at this and said, this chair business, this shows you how insecure the Chinese are.
Yes.
And it betrayed weakness. So after that I felt okay about this. But somebody needs to put Xi Jinping back in the box, because this shows that he does not respect the United States. This has nothing to do with Trump, by the way. This is just his not respecting the United States.
Well,
and we have got to show the Chinese that they have got to respect us and that they've got to cut this out, because this is just completely unacceptable.
I have a feeling, I know that Donald Trump doesn't exactly like to be slighted by people. And sooner or later, he's going to do something to get back at it. So I would not be surprised. Certainly the arms deal with Taiwan, I'll bet you that's already been inked. I mean, really, honestly. And we've kind of got the upper hand right now because we are doing the blockade of Iran. It sounds like they're teetering. It looks like Cuba's falling. Venezuela is already effectively under our auspices. Panama Canal is already, China's no longer involved there. So all Donald Trump really has to do is flick his wrist and do a couple of things and snap Pink back into his place. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think that's right. And by the way, Xi Jinping's best friend, Vladimir Putin,
is
getting beaten up pretty badly, at least for the moment, by Ukraine, where Ukraine is taking back territory, and is, with their drones, it's unstoppable.
Yeah.
Russia is not able to stop those Ukrainian drones, which have actually hit Moscow.
Yeah.
So Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin's in Beijing right
Yes,
now.
and that's.
I think that there's a panic session.
Yes. I want to talk about it at the other side of the break, if you don't mind. Gordon Chang. Gordon G. Chang on Twitter. Go to Twitter. Gordon G. Chang. Make sure to follow him. Let's take a break and come back. This is The Rob Carson Show. It is the Rob Carson Show on the Newsmax hotline. Gordon Chang, China relations expert, Gordon G. Chang on Twitter. How petty and petulant to do such third world things as giving Donald Trump a chair that's lower than your chair. I mean, that is just so, I don't even know.
That's great.
It's honest. This is the only third world, only dictators do this sort of petulant, stupid crap.
Right. and President Trump handled it very well. He showed the confidence of the leader of a superpower. And by the way, there's only one superpower in the world right now, and it's not China.
No. You know, Donald Trump, he will hold on to a grudge. If you don't believe me, ask Bill Cassidy. This will come back. I'm serious. You know this, Gordon. You know this. If you diss this man, if you disrespect this man, he's going to hang on to that, and he's going to get you back. That's the way it rolls. And Xi Jinping and his wife are coming to D.C. They're coming in the fall, aren't they?
Yep. September 24th, according to President Trump. So that's pretty soon.
I wonder if they're going to put him in a little chair in the corner.
No, I don't think we'll do that because we're not going to stoop to that.
No,
but
he
the
wouldn't.
Point is, I absolutely agree with you. President Trump, in one way or another, is going to get Xi Jinping back for that.
Yes. How would you compare this summit versus like the consummate summit of the United States and China happened when Richard Nixon was the president? Which one is more impactful?
That is, that is obviously the one with the most impact because it started the relationship during a period where nobody thought it would happen.
Yeah.
But I've thought that this summit that just occurred is like the second most important summit that we have had with China.
I think so.
So, and it's going to be as impactful, which is the reason why I started out by saying that historians are going to be talking about this meeting for quite some time.
Well, you look at how, for instance, Barack Obama and Joe Biden were treated by China, and I use the analogy of, who are you going to respect? Somebody puts out on the first date, or someone you've got to work for the relationship? And Xi Jinping already, he had them in the bag. They were already bought and paid for. Joe Biden already bought and paid for by the Chinese Communist Party. They didn't roll out the red carpet for him. This is what happens. Then when you go over and you project power and you command respect, don't demand it, command it. I mean, just your presence, it makes a whole lot of difference.
Yeah, and that's a really important point you made about commanding versus demanding. The Xi Jinping demands and President Trump commands.
Yes.
And that's a critical difference.
100%. You can demand all you want. You can stamp your feet up and down and you can demand respect. You have to earn respect. Donald Trump has earned respect. Whether you like it or not, he is a champion of industry. He's doing amazing things for our country. So tell me about Vladimir Putin in China, in Beijing. You mentioned it's like a panic session. Tell me what's going on there.
Well, he arrived about, 12 hours ago.
Yeah.
He's going to be there for a couple of days. People are speculating they're going to talk about the new pipeline. China will want to buy more energy from Russia.
Mm-hmm.
But Russia's going to need China's help because the war effort in Ukraine right now is faltering.
Yeah.
And this is surprising because if you go back 6 months, go back even more, people were saying that this was all over for Ukraine and it was inevitable failure on the part of Ukraine. Well, no. I mean, I don't know how this is going to turn out, but right now, Ukraine's doing very well.
Unreal.
They're taking back territory.
Unreal.
They're hitting Russian refineries. They're hitting the Russian capital. And basically, Vladimir Putin is just taking it.
Wow. That certainly shows that, if Russia couldn't take down Ukraine, they're not in the position to do much more in the world, with regard to military influence. How's China's economy?
One thing,
go
Rob.
Go ahead.
One thing, Rob. They've
got nukes. I know that.
Yeah. How's the Chinese economy? It is trending downwards.
Yeah.
The numbers that came out for last month, and this was a day or so ago, surprised almost everybody. And we saw, for instance, retail sales hit a 40-month low.
Whoa.
It's a real indication of pessimism inside China right now. Even the other numbers were far lower than everybody thought, including me, by the way. And I think what's happening is that China is now coming out with more realistic figures, although probably they're still overestimating how they're doing.
Of course they are.
China's right now is in a world of hurt.
Yeah, you had mentioned one that I think I interrupted a thought with regard to Russia. Did you have something else you wanted to mention on that?
No, I'm just saying that Russia's losing, but Putin is perfectly capable of using his tactical nuclear weapons. And that, of course, will change everything. Now, I hope that President Trump, and I'm sure he did, warned Xi Jinping to warn Putin, but that will just change the world overnight.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Gordon Chang, I appreciate your perspective on all of this. I've been dying to talk to you about what you thought of the summit, and I'm looking forward to seeing Donald Trump when Xi Jinping comes here, because it won't be petty or petulant. His repercussions that Xi Jinping will feel, but I believe he will have some repercussions.
And I learned command versus demand. That was brilliant, Rob, so thank you.
Absolutely, 100%. And you, my friend, command respect. Thank you very much. You never demand it, but you do command it. I know you personally. I know that. And I do respect you. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate you, Gordon Chang.
Well, I appreciate you, Rob, so thank you.
All right, let's take a break and come back. This is The Rob Carson Show. You understand the difference. I mean, I know you do because you're smart, but command versus demand. Demand respect. You can demand respect all you want. I'm not going to respect you. If you don't earn it, if you don't command it, you know? I remember when Kamala Harris was running against Donald Trump, he was just calling him all sorts of names and all this, and I said, no. This is not going to end well for you, because he commands respect. He commands respect with what he's done. You command nothing because you're a cartoon. You're a buffoon. You're a fool. Kamala Harris was a fool compared to Donald Trump. No life experience. She doesn't command respect. She demands it, and I don't. Don't respect her one little bit. I'm glad he appreciated that, because it's true. You got to earn respect. I had some audio I was going to go to. Let me move back here. Home. Sorry, I'm just grabbing some stuff here real quick. Oh, there we go. Funny. All righty. There's a lot of stuff happening in the news I'm not going to get to right now, but I'm just kind of watching it. That was a good interview, wasn't it? Scott Davies. Remember Vindman? Oh, yeah, Vindman. What a piece of crap he was. Exodus is biblical from Democrat states. I don't call blue states. They're commie red states. But there is, yeah. Hold on. What am I talking about here? I might have to do a parody. No, I just played one. Oh, aliens. I got to talk about aliens. Aliens. Time for me to talk. Sorry. I do love you guys, though. Thank you for watching and talking and chatting and all that. You're the best. Jack Watt reposted the stream on Twitter. Thank you.
And a 4.5 here.
Did 4 different kinds of space aliens visit our country? I'll have details on a second here, if you believe in that stuff. Fuel prices rose when the Strait of Hormuz was blockaded by Iran, or at least threatened to be blockaded. Another commodity is gold. They mine it out of the ground. When it's gone, it's gone. Governments can't print more. That's why gold fluctuates. That's why gold has had a meteoric rise the last couple of years. If you've been thinking about gold for years, but still have never moved some of your savings into physical gold, and there's nothing like it. Physical gold is amazing. It's beautiful. It's been precious forever. I mean, the reason why you went to see King Tut exhibit was because of that gold mask. That's what you wanted to see, right? Yeah. You ever watch those old documentaries? You know, the doubloons in the Spanish merchant vessels that sank in the Caribbean and all that, and they get the gold, and you're like, whoa, cool. Birch Gold. The company that I trust, now through May 29th, is offering you a first-time gold buyer rebate up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. For details and free information on diversifying into gold, text my name, Rob, to the number 989898. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. I put a bunch of my money with Birch Gold. I'm going to let it ride until I retire, and that's going to be about 10 years from now. So get used to it. Text Rob to the number 989898 to see if you qualify for a first-time gold buyer rebate up to $10,000. Last night, Jesse Waters was talking about space aliens with a guy named Dan Farah, and they're releasing all these UFO files and everything. I'm still not convinced. I'm kind of a scientific thinker. There's a thing called the Fermi Principle I won't get into, and I think it's unlikely we have been visited by space aliens, but it's kind of interesting. Jesse Waters.
Do people think that there's one type of non-human intelligence that's visiting the Earth, or is there many, many types?
People who have been involved in recoveries have said
there are at least 4.
This is Dan Farah, who's done a big movie documentary on this.
4 separate types.
4 types, yeah.
Now, I have not had direct access to that, but I believe the people who I talked to.
4 different types of life.
4 different types of life.
And what are they?
4 different species of aliens.
I mean, other than Rose DeLauro and Adam Schiff.
Another scientist called them Greys, Nordics, insectoids, and reptilians. All of them have...
You just described Democrats.
2 arms and 2 legs, just like us.
Okay.
Experts speculate the reptilians are scaly with long tails like a lizard.
Sense, yeah.
Insectoids look like a praying mantis.
Yeah.
The Greys look like your classic movie alien, and the Nordics look like a regular Swedish guy, but 7 feet tall.
Okay, all right.
We haven't seen the evidence, but Pete Hegseth says more evidence is coming, and there are a lot of believers in Congress.
I have seen evidence in a skiff that leads me to believe there are things we cannot explain, and I have observed things that are of non-human origin and creation. That's my opinion.
And did you find bodies like an Independence Day that they had at Area 51?
Look, a number of the people I interviewed in my film, senior intelligence officials, went on the record saying that there have been dozens of crashed craft of non-human origin over the years, and elements of our government have recovered those crashes, and they've gotten out of that technology of non-human origin, and in some cases, non-human bodies that were on these craft. A number of the people in my film go on the record saying that the bodies were not all the same type, meaning there were multiple species. The people in my film talked about events where they were dead bodies, they were deceased bodies.
I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. I've been studying this for a very long time. I read books about this all the time. I'm not convinced. We're not there yet. There's a number of reasons why there's a good chance we've never been visited by life from other planets, and it involves gigantic, unimaginable distances. Other than that, we could talk about the rest of the show, but the show's over, so it's time for me to go. Goodbye to our, space alien visitors. God bless you guys. America's founded Donald Trump, our military. And until tomorrow, do not catch the stupid and don't get abducted by aliens. They do all sorts of weird sexual stuff with you. I had it happen to me.
This is the right choice.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.